Joe, round 10. Can you believe that half the season's almost finished? What is this nonsense? Last week, I thought it was like round 2. This week, I thought it was round 5. I'm like, mate, in 2 weeks, we've got the bye rounds. What is this?
I know. It is ridiculous how quickly this season has been just absolutely rocketing. And it's probably all helped with the fact that we've had to scramble so much early on in the season to get our teams fixed that all of a sudden it's like, holy crap, we're now entering round 10. And as you say, mid-season draft around the corner as well. Buys around the corner. It used to be so far away, talking about the buy planning, but now it's like, oh boy, now it's like well and truly right around the corner.
I guess kind of similar to every year, though, by this time, most people will be pretty close to a finished team already. I don't know. I find in the second half of the year, it's more about what you do with your captains versus actually what you're doing with your team. Because I know with myself, I'm not planning on having that many trades left. I think with your team, speaking off air, seems to be the same. So good luck to you if you've got like 10 trades after the buys. But boy, oh boy, that's not going to be us, right?
No. We are Dyson. We are absolutely burning through trades, and we're going to be with very little left. And that's why it's really important to make sure that you can do your own sort of trade planning into the future, being realistic in terms of what you think your money on the bench is going to look like in terms of with your upgrades, looking at your boosts, how many you've got left. Are you able to get like $650,000 for a premium player? Can two players, and one up, one down, get you to $650K, which is probably the sweet spot for where you want your top of the line players at around that point in the season. So you gotta look and see. And if you reckon that your players on the bench are one up, one down, can't get you $650K, then you really need to work on getting some more cash gen in. So it's really exciting.
It's something that I identified a couple of weeks ago when I brought in Simpson instead of kind of doing that double upgrade. Obviously, the two players that I didn't bring in weren't going to be fantastic anyway because Jack still kind of shit the bed a little bit. But yeah, shoring up your cash gen is really important. Looking at George's team and a couple of others as well. I know he's been complaining a lot about maybe not even being able to finish his team, just because, as you say, one up, one down. You really got to have about $650K in the bank. We're actually quite lucky this year. There's not a lot of good premiums at that $650K mark that are must-haves like we've had in previous years, right? Tukamilla, when he eventually comes back, will drop a lot in price.
He will.
There's quite a few of these type of players, your Lockie Neals, that kind of thing. Maybe they're not top levels this year anymore, but there's still some really affordable options there. So we've been very, very lucky, even in the back line. I remember this time around last year, we were all scrambling for our Zach Merritts, and I think there was Petrarca might have just been around this price as well, because there was so many $650K guys and people didn't have them in. You had to get the budget option, right? Whereas this year, I think we've actually magic number maybe affecting that a little bit, but this person definitely, there's a lot of players available for us at that price range.
Yeah, exactly. 100%. And it doesn't help when you keep having carnage all the time. I feel like this year, more than any, things have been so inconsistent and carnage has been hitting, and WCE rule. Look, got the comment in before we even went live. Out Mills, out Hopper, in Degoe, in Decam, only leaves them with 14 trades left with 4 spots left to fill. Thoughts? Look, that's not the worst position to be in because I've got 13 trades left and I've got 4 spots left to fill in. So you're in a better spot than me, West Coast Eagle rule.
So we should probably clip this because we can upload it as well. But whenever I do upgrades and evaluate people's teams, I always bring a 3-to-1 ratio. So what that means is have 3 trades per 1 position left on field to be able to fill. You're a little bit out of that at the moment because you've got 4 and 3 is 12. So you're just you're just okay, which is fine because generally you want to aim to do a 1 up, 1 down. No worries. In your team at the moment, you have the capacity to 2 down and 1 up. So you're okay. If you've got a fully fit team, if you've got some bench players who can cover you throughout the year, even if it's a Seamus Mitchell and a Weddle and a few of these other guys who can come in and score you a 70 or an 80 at different points during the season, I think you're okay. You're aiming to just do the one up, one down, as I said. So potentially you could finish your team with 6 trades left if you're really good at the money management. If you're able to pick up some players who are a little bit cheaper, like a Darcy Cameron, for example, the guy's probably valued at a 550 mark, and we can grab him at 500. So looking at these type of players, you've got your Lockie Neals. Heck, even Zach Merritt's going to be around 550k, depending on how well he does this year or this week. So
yeah,
there's some real options there to go a bit cheaper, and being in the position you're in isn't as bad. You just have to really manage the buy rounds. That's what it's coming into. Give yourself enough injury trades, that kind of thing. So, I mean, if I had four spots left to fill, if I had your team, finishing my team after the buys with 4 trades left, with a good completed team that you're happy with, it isn't the end of the world. So I'd be looking to try and do that. Hopefully your captain is good enough.
Yeah, exactly. And like the team that you're left with, yeah, you might only have 4 trades left for the rest of the year, but you could be trading in some mid-season draft players who are mature ages, who are ready to go, who will play games, who can help cover like a 1-week injury, for example. So it's not like this year, unlike other years, it could be different. Having not a lot of trades left at the end of the year might not be a big deal with the mid-season draft. So that's not a bad position. Don't worry about it. I know injuries suck. Forced changes suck. Everyone's forced into changes. It's now a question right now. The real issue that I'm finding, Big J, is it's not so much. All right, you can finish your team, but if you're constantly in a situation where you have to keep doing forced trades, changes to premiums that you're bringing in, they get injured. You got to fix them out. You're using trades, not increasing the number of premiums you've got. That's probably where the heartache is. So, guys, I only hope that the premiums you bring in are able to dodge the bullets from here on out. I really hope you can.
And that's a big thing as well, is, as Joe says, bring in guys that potentially, if you can afford it, that haven't had a lot of major injuries. So, or coming off injury clouds, that kind of thing. Suspensions are okay, whatever. But you don't want to bring in, who's a good example, Joe? Zach Merritt's okay.
Injury prone. No, Zach Merritt is,
let's say Josh Kelly. If you brought in Josh Kelly after the buys, you might have to be a bit careful. Hey, if this guy's coming in and he's got some injury concerns, I wouldn't be bringing in Mills, for example, after he comes back from injury, because potentially he's coming off a calf, and then he comes in and does a calf again. And it's like, well, there's a dead player on my bench. So you should always aim to have a couple of premiums on your bench if you can afford it. But as cover, obviously. But yeah, it's a tough one. Sometimes you just can't manage it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That's where even just having playing rookies.
Tom Deep asks you, what do you think George Wardlaw will average? You got another gid on debut. Let's go. Oh, North Media. Oh, mate, this is him. This is before he got drafted. Take it easy, man. We're talking about
he
now.
was 18 years, number 5.
Yeah. No, you see, only good players were number 5.
Oh, I know, right?
He's a James Hurd fan, bro. Don't worry. Don't worry. Ferocious tackling. That's exactly what your boys need. Yes. Okay. So, what do you think he's going to average?
I think it might be a little bit of a slow start.
Do you just reckon that he's going to average like 500 or something? Like you're just showing us his highlights. Like, what is he going to average, man?
It's interesting because I love this kid. The heartache and everything has gone through, but also just how well he's been doing in the VFL as well. So amazing contested beast, as we say, really good clean kicks. Definitely worthy of like the number 1 or 2 pick. I'd hate to have had North Melbourne not have 3 and be an opposition team and have to really choose between him and Shingle, because that'd be fantastic. In saying that, I think he's going to get managed a little bit at the start, kind of coming off his injuries. Maybe not being the sub, but potentially one of those guys that plays like 60, 70% game time for the first couple of games. As a super coach option, I don't think is really relevant because of the inflated price. I think he's cost more than what Shees will cost in super coach. It's not like he's 120K, right? So
No. He is
how much?
he definitely has a price tag to him. He's
Yeah.
193, 800.
In super coach, I think he's not. That was Blake Drury there. You see that?
No, sorry, I'm pulling up his VFL stats.
Look, see? Blake Drury with the red hair. Right?
Where's Blake Drury?
There he is.
There he is, Drury.
Yeah.
Look, what's his face?
Yeah.
I mean, Wardlaw has got 12 touches round 1, 24 touches round 2. But what I like more than his 15 touches, 23, 19. But what I'm really liking, though, about what his stats are showing me here, that round 1, he had 12 touches and 7 tackles. Round 2, 24 touches, 6 tackles.
Yeah, he's
round
not afraid.
3,
He's not afraid to
touches,
get into it.
4 tackles.
Yep.
Round 5, 23 touches, 8 tackles.
Yep.
Round 8, 19 touches, 5 tackles. So he's tackling. He's getting contested possessions. It's what we love to see. I reckon as our good mate here, Damo from Supercoach Edge, if you haven't gone and subbed to him, please go ahead and sub to the boys over there, Supercoach Edge. As he says, he plays a Supercoach game. I'm excited to bring him in. I reckon he's going to make his way into the team. You guys need enthusiasm. You guys need a spark. You need to change things up. You haven't had the best news today. What better way to sort of raise spirits for the whole club, for fans, to show them this is the next generation that we've got coming up. The Wardlaws, the Sheezels, the Phillips. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like these are the guys that are going to be carrying us into the next generation of North Melbourne football. They gotta be playing him, and they're gonna keep him in the side for as long as he's healthy. I can't see this kid being dropped. Can you?
No, and the thing with the way the club's going, obviously our win-loss record's not great, but we need a successor to the likes of Cunnington, right? So having someone like Wardlaw be available to actually potentially be molded and play that type of role for us going forward, I think it's bloody fantastic. And as you say, he should play every game if he's fit. Being managed a little bit to start with, just coming off the major injuries in his draft year, but it's a tough one. I think you like more, you're better off grabbing a Harry Sharp, that kind of thing now, than having to really worry about it later though in Supercoach.
But he's going to be on the bubble, not even this week. He's on the bubble.
No, I think we have the round 14 or round 15. So maybe there's one price rise before his
round 15.
Round. So it's not even a big deal.
Round 15 buy. We're now entering. So
we get one price rise.
Basically. So he plays round 10, plays round 11. Round 12 is his first price rise. Then he has round 13, round 14. So he's got 2 price rises before the buy.
So when he's 500K, because he's come out and scored a 130, like 600 in his third game. Well, when he comes out being 500K just before the buy, maybe you can flip him. We'll be happy, right?
Look, mate, I reckon he's going to be an on-field option. He's a contested beast, as we've seen. The only concern I have for him is because he's coming off injury, and because he's not afraid of contact, and now he's going to come up against some big boys in the AFL. Unfortunately, it might mean that he might hurt himself in being overzealous, a bit like what we see with what's his face, with Butters. Like Butters, kamikaze, doesn't give a crap about himself or anyone. He'll die for the ball, he'll tackle, but in the process he gets injured. So that's the only thing that I'm concerned about with Wardlaw at this point.
I'm just seeing some of the comments here. Yeah, the big thing is as well, like if he came into a Collingwood or a Brisbane or a Dogs or even a Melbourne team that are a bit more established with those mature age players that can help him along, I think it would be a lot better for him, development-wise, but also participation on the field. sometimes the young kids, when they're versing, 30-year-olds in the midfield,
Mm.
it's a lot harder for them to step up versus having these established guys. Like, if LDU was there, then fantastic. But it's really up to the likes of Greenwood and then Cunnington and these other players, even a Jai Simpkin, if he's back, to actually help and support him on field so he can allow him to do his thing. Because, Matt Rell went big when he came in
and got injured
first year as well. So, and then he got injured. So, it's pretty tough.
It's similar to Jimby. Jimby also started off really hot, and then it's tiring playing against big boys all the time. Tommy, how's it going? Thanks for coming on. John, thanks for coming. Cheese, we love you, Cheese. Stop clicking on Cheese's comment. Stop it. We have to show Cheese's comment. I love you, Cheese. I love you, mate. John, great.
Hey, John.
Listen as I cook
dinner.
What
are you making, John? Let us know in the comments. What's for dinner?
Let us know. I'm stuffed though, so I might not be. I'm not up to listening to food right now. Julian, we want to hear about North Melbourne potential change as well. We know one is going to be the coach. We dodged the bullet. We dodged the missile.
No. Sorry, so this is Big J's stream now because Joe's. Sorry. What? What? Oh, sorry. Joe's got camera troubles. No. So, Clarko situation's not great. Let's not talk about it.
You have been the one for me.
No. Let's move down. So, Duke. So, Walsh or Merritt? It's a tough one. If I had to pick one of the two, I think it would be Merritt for two reasons. His players, the teams that he's got coming up, are very easy for midfielders to score, and he's cheaper. So, those two options are the reasons why. The only trouble I have with Merritt, and it's been talked about on Twitter and things like that this week, if you're following us on the channel, is just I think Merritt personally does worse when he is by himself, when he doesn't have that support of Parrish and Setterfield and a couple of other players to actually support him on field. Teams can isolate him and be like, okay, we just have to tag one player, similar to Oliver and Petrarca, right? If you only had Oliver and Petrarca in Melbourne's midfield, and then one of them was injured, you could say, okay, we're going to focus Oliver. That's kind of what it feels a little bit like with Merritt. Maybe Joe can say something different, but that's what it feels a little bit like for me. So that would really be the only negative out of it, out of the two. As you say, the DPP is great, but I don't think it matters too much. We've got enough options there between the mids and the forwards to be able to do stuff. And I think at the moment, I'm looking at potentially getting Gawn in for my forward line. I know Darcy Cameron's probably going to come into that position as well. So it's not like we're starved with mid-forward options. We started the year with Cogs and Goulden and Rosie and Butters and Dunkley, all these players who can swing between the both. So we're not forced to pick these players as much. Merritt's the one for me. What do you reckon, Joe? Does that kind of him being alone in that midfield affect him, or it's better, or what are you thinking?
Look, I think personally with Parrish out of the side, I think he's certainly capable of going big because no one's going to be – he's going to have less, I suppose, chop out of the centre bounces. And he has scored really well without Parrish. Being the main man in there, he has done it before, that he has been able to really raise his level. Finding the pill is of no issue for Zach Merritt, and he's a very clean ball user. The thing is that if he has one of those games where he only has 50% disposal efficiency, he for some reason the game really just underscores him heavily. So he almost doesn't have a middle ground. It's either he's underscored or he's freaking gone bananas 150s. It's ridiculous. I think Merritt is the one, especially for that price point. Yes, Merritt won't get DPP, but as you say, I don't think the DPP is the biggest concern. I think the bigger concern is the fact that Walsh has that sucky buy in round 15.
Yes.
Whereas Merritt is in round 14, which is a bit more manageable.
Which is a much bigger, you think, oh yeah, they're both having a buy coming up. But as you say, that round 14 buy is a lot better. It is than round 15, yeah.
Yeah. So they're both going to be premiums in your midfield anyway. So I'm not sure just how big of a deal the DPP will be. Walsh has only been getting 40% CBAs, and I think that is historically low for him. He normally gets more CBAs than that. So, and they haven't been winning. So maybe there could be a change in the coach's box where they might have him play more midfield, which could see him miss that forward eligibility for the DPP. And imagine you bring in Walsh specifically for DPP, and then that changes, and he's no longer a top 6, forward because he doesn't have forward status. So I personally think, especially and after the bye, Merritt is a post-bye merchant. So from what you've got now, there is an upside to what Merritt's scoring could possibly be moving forward, and we have the better fixture. I would say, we got West Coast, no problem. But after West Coast tagged the living daylights out of Noah Anderson last week, I'm sort of concerned about that West Coast game now.
Like West Coast, with all the flaws they've got, yes, their backline needs some trouble. Yes, their midfield, their forward line needs some help. But overall, they're not a bad team. They've still got the mature age players to be able to nullify some guys on field, especially when their team's only got 1 or 2. As I say, with the Melbourne or a Dogs or a Brisbane, as an example, they've got so many threats on field that you can't just stop them. But Noah Anderson going massive, you can nullify him, right? If Zach Merritt's the only good player that's versing West Coast, they're going to put 2 people on him every game and just be like, hey, you can get 20 touches, but they're not going to be effective, and we'll have someone hugging your leg for the whole game. So get used to it, right? They're not going to be punished by other people on field.
Yeah, see, missing Parrish isn't the big deal. I think missing Parrish is great still for Merritt. I think where the potential issues for Merritt is that Setagoat is out, and Shield might also be out because he was not training.
There's no one else.
So if Shield's not playing, Setters is not playing, Parrish is not playing, that is 3/4 of our midfield gone. And it's literally going to be just Merritt leading young players like Caldwell, maybe Perkins, Package, Stringer might pinch in there more, but it becomes an entirely different lineup where it really just becomes stop Merritt and you stop that midfield because he's the only real threat there. So that's the concern. If Shield is named, though, I'd feel a bit better this week, and we'll find out a bit later with the team sheets when they come out. I really hope Shield plays. Because without Shield, that's all we need. I swear Tullamarine is cursed at this rate. My God.
You're cursed, buddy. North Melbourne's cursed too.
Mate, we're the 3rd youngest team in the comp, and we were top 4 for injured experience last week. And now you add, no Setterfield. You add imagine if no Shield also.
No Parrish.
Imagine no Redmond, because Redmond was wearing the no contact fluoro as well. Everyone with experience is dropping left like flies at our team. It's ridiculous.
Can you hold LDU? Probably not. I think he's out 6 weeks until after the bye. So, if it was draft, then potentially, if you can get someone else, no worries, but not in the normal Supercoach game. Hey, Michael, thanks for coming on, mate. Thanks for posting. Guys, if you haven't already, just smash that like button, brings everyone coming to have a look at the live stream. So pretty amazing there. RV, yeah, man, our club is cursed, buddy. But some point things have to turn. Maybe it's the trade period when we get rid of all these dud players. Maybe we get some new coaches or something in. The thing with that I like with Sonia Hood being the president is there really hasn't been that many negatives since she's come in. Previous people, it's been ups and downs, whatever, but there is a trajectory. Maybe it's like this instead of being like this, but yeah, it is happening. Things are getting better. Just need to fix the off-field stuff. Needs to really come in and fix some of the problems, right? If it's coaching, get rid of some coaches at the end of the year. If it's players, why is the likes of Turner getting a contract again? So a lot of these things really have to change. Joe, what happened to Setterfield, Joe?
It doesn't count. It doesn't count. Who
was correct?
It doesn't count.
Look, Jonas says it, and then Dan says it. There's so many people. They're like,
and then
Joe,
Duke
you
says
were wrong.
it.
What happened?
And then Duke says it. He got his foot broken.
Hey,
it doesn't count.
He could have got the flu. He's still crap. He's still not going to play.
That doesn't count.
Jay was correct.
Doesn't
Correct.
count.
Bro. You have to admit it, Joe. He was
It
a
doesn't
bad
count.
pick. You should have got rid of him 4 weeks ago.
It
See you
doesn't
later.
count. It
And you know
doesn't
who got
count.
rid of him this week? You did, because you know he's a bad pick. Don't get me
Mate,
started.
It's not because he's a bad pick. I got rid of him this week
he's a
because
bad
he's
pick.
injured and he's going to miss a month. I can't keep someone who's not going to
because
play
he's a
for a
bad
month.
pick. You
He's
should have
not
got
a
rid
bad
of him when I
pick.
said get rid of him. Come on.
Mills is bad. Mills is a bad pick. Don't have Mills.
No, Mills was unfortunate, but we knew the pick was bad. We knew that Mills'
Midfield
pick
got
was
his
bad.
foot stomped on, bro. He got his foot stomped
The
on.
Mills pick was bad, and we said it was bad because the guy gets moved around everywhere on field. He's averaging 40s. He's averaging 100s. He's playing defense. He's playing forward. He plays half a game, and that's why the Mills pick was bad. I said, don't pick Mills. I said, Joe, get rid of Setterfield. The guy's losing money. He's good for an 80 and a 90. He was scoring 80s and 90s, and he went down. So I was correct. I'm sorry. No. Clarko's taking time off. So that's all we're going to say. Joe, can we get a Joe singing? I'm a big advocate for this, mate. Done. Joe singing compilation. As an intro to the channel.
Come on,
done.
Bro. Take it easy. Just calm it down, bro. I'm not gonna have a. No. This is music to my ears. This is music, not my voice. This roast chicken, a little pasta carbonara, and mixed veggies on you, John. That's delicious, mate.
That's pretty good, mate.
Super Coach Pro, how's it going, mate?
Hey,
Muay Thai tonight, 6:30. So I went to the Tim 7:30ish. Wow.
Yeah, but teams drop at 6:20. So what are you doing at 6:20?
Yeah, 100%.
You got time, bro. Let's make it happen, mate. Yeah.
Charlie Livingston, lads, who, what primo would you pick? Budget is around 9K. Already got Merritt. Main options are narrowed down to Sarong or Laird.
Sarong's a very good pick. I would probably go with Sarong. Laird, I think, has a little bit of money left to lose, and I think he's still carrying a bit of an injury. So if I had to pick one of the two, Sarong would definitely be my pick. I think the pod status of Sarong definitely helps you out as well, because 23% still have Laird, whereas only 9 to 10% have Sarong. So if you want to move up the ranks, you want to dodge a lot of stuff. Yes, they're playing Geelong this week. It's whatever. But I think Sarong's definitely the right pick out of those two options. Looking at the list, like, you're not going to pick Paddy Cripps. Maybe Zach Butters if you're feeling frisky, but probably not. I know a few people are jumping on Matt Rao. But, yeah, out of those two, I'm upset I don't have Sarong in my team. So if I can live through you and you can have Sarong, I feel a lot better about myself. So pick Sarong.
In Livingston, right? You're living in Livingston, so it's a bit of a reach. I must admit. I'm sorry about that. Super Coach Pro says that he reckons Sharp has good job security from Brizzy and Matt Kennedy could be value this week.
Let me see if I can pull up the tweet.
That is good when you've got the coach, the head coach, name dropping you, saying good things about you.
It's what we've been saying. What we've been saying, Joe. Every time.
That's what I said. That's what I was saying. Yes, that's right.
Exactly.
So, if I didn't go early on Drury last week, then I would have got Sharp this week.
Doesn't matter, man. You don't need with the ins that I think we might have to redo your team review, Joe, so you can do the new ins. So Fagan said this today in the presser. Harry Sharp, over the last 2 to 3 years, his body's got a bit bigger. He's got stronger, doing a lot better in contested situations. He just needs the games in a row. So if the coach said, oh, look, there's other people going to come back, then, he'd say that in the presser. But it really sounds like from this, they're going to give him a few more weeks.
Look what Michael says, the first top comment underneath. So keep naming him then.
Yeah. So it makes, when your coach says this about you as a player, unless you completely shit the bed, sorry, YouTube, please don't demonetize. If you completely shit the bed and then you score a 20, like maybe what's happening with Sincotta this week, I think he's good to play. So maybe not the fieldable option, but some people are saying Zorko coming back is going to affect him, that kind of thing. Zorko is going to be away for a while, but other people are going to make way.
There is Rich to come back as well.
Yeah, sorry, yeah. But other people are going to make way before him. So, yeah, it's a great situation to be in.
Yes.
And it's a cheaper option than Bailey Humphrey as well. As much as I love Bailey Humphrey, it's a cheaper option, and that's what we're kind of looking for, especially with a few players like an Alwyn Davey, potentially Sincotta, Darcy Wilmot and stuff. We don't want to actually have to give up like 50K, right? We want to make enough money out of these premiums. If I have Harry Sharp, I can offload a Davey and still make 90K. Like maybe not 90K. I can offload him and make 70. It's something, You've got two 20K players.
Not enough, man. You need something. I think a trade. The trade you got to make like around 120K.
No, not all the time. It depends on who you're downgrading, right? Because if I've got Hopper, 70K plus Hopper is potentially like a Jack Steele. Potentially it's a Brayshaw. A little bit more money if I've got something in the bank is a Zach Merritt. Like obviously you want to make 150K, but it's not the end of the world if your other upgrade option you've got some money there. Jennifer, I love the medium J.
Call me extra J. Call me extra J.
Medium J. There's big J and medium J. And then when we get something else on the show, they can be little J. We just have to find someone. And then you know what we can call the channel? We can call the channel Triple J. Done. Triple J.
What isn't there like a radio channel already?
Yeah, there's a radio show.
Get out of here. J. You want them to get sued. Jen, how about extra J? I reckon extra J is pretty good.
Not happening, mate. So that's what I'm saying. So that's what I was saying before, right? Merritt's the one that's going to get the attention. That's the only reason why I'm not bringing him in at the moment. I just want to see what it's like. But he's definitely in my trade plans for next week.
Yeah, correct.
Hey, Haas, how you doing? Hope you're doing well, mate. Darcy Cameron, Rosie, or Libba. So pretty sure Darcy Cameron's named. He's the one I'm looking to bring in this week. I think you need to get him before the round 12 bye at a minimum because we've got Marshall and Sean Darcy that are going to be out. So it's people like Joe still have Ryan, which is fantastic. Potentially you can grab Darcy Cameron and have no ruck issues, which is boy. What am I saying? But yeah, so just have to be a little bit careful with that. Darcy Cameron's the one. The low break even as well. The fact that he's probably going to be playing majority midfield. So majority ruck. Cox is going to be up forward. They need marking targets in the forward line. Cox is like 7'2". You can't outmark this guy unless you hit him in the arms. So I think they're going to play majority Darcy Cameron in that ruck time, and he should score okay. There is the issue with there is a bit of an issue at the moment with him just coming back and not playing any VFL. But if he's medically cleared, then he's medically cleared. So you just have to take it on merit.
He's playing for Collingwood. He's guaranteed to score points. Like, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. But it's more like you don't rush players back, right? Like, you give them a week to get match fit after being away for 7 weeks. But if the club says, yep, no worries, then
he'll take it easy into it. Plus, Rosie and Libba both have the round 15 bye, whereas Darcy Cameron has the round 14 bye.
Earlier bye plays in that forward line is what you need. Similar in your defense if you can. Merritt, 100% better pick than Walsh. Yeah, I think you can still get Cameron. I'm not sure what his projected is to go up by, but
if he scores let me tell you, his break even is 55. Yep. If he scores 87, he'll go up 14.5K.
Yeah, so no worries. So you pick him up at 530 instead of 500. Like, it's not a huge deal. So you can do that if you want.
So guys, go and subscribe to Supercoach Guide if you haven't. Good friend of the channel, and he puts up some nice content. So please go ahead and subscribe.
This guy uploads videos every day. He's putting us to shame.
He does. Putting in the hard yards. He wants to hit 1,000 subscribers. Let's help him out, guys.
We'll make it happen. Kennedy. So a lot of people talking about Kennedy at the moment. Let me pull up, give you inputs on the Kennedy, Joe, and then I'll.
Kennedy he's just that weird price point, 347K. He's definitely better than his price. There's no doubt about it. He is one of their better mids, and it is really surprising to me that they're using him as a sub so much. I'm not sure if that's because there's something wrong with him physically, or if he's just out of favor with the coach, because without a doubt, he's certainly capable of a lot more. And you can imagine him as like an M9 almost that you're trading in at 350K. Now, I know that Abs, our good friend Abs, was thinking about getting in like a Fife who's going to be really cheap as a swing man. I just think Kennedy for his price is too much that you're not going to keep on field. I think paying $350K for someone that you might have as just bench cover, it's almost like a glorified rookie for $350K almost at this point, just bench cover. So for me, I think that's way too much money. Unless you're going to use him, as you say here, Jonas, as a cash cow. It just depends on whether or not he can get the role, because he could very well get subbed out or be used as the sub next week. That's the problem with him. It's that lack of security anywhere.
I think he'll play. I think Voss needs to change some things up. I think when Kennedy was the sub last week, the guy scored like 50-odd Super Coach points, got like a goal and 15 or so touches as well in that, 1 quarter period when he came on. Looking at Super Coach wise, Bryce Mitchell here is saying from now on, if he averages a 97 or averages a 90, he'll only be 424K. So it's not like you're expecting him to get to 500K, get to close to what he was in that kind of time period that we're looking at. So potentially he's a good in if you can, but it is what it is, right? I don't know if I would bring in Kennedy. I'd almost want to bring in a Bailey Humphrey just for the price, or just downgrade or straight upgrade a player. Getting 150K to 200K isn't that hard at the moment. So yeah, if you're that desperate, if you have to. The problem with this kind of price as well, it's not like last year when we had Himmelberg come in, play a job role, was scoring monsters, and was going to be a player for us. Like Kennedy's sharing the midfield with Doherty, with Cripps, with Sam Walsh. Like, almost like a bit of a waste. But
yeah, Walsh is only getting
everyone's team's
CBAs,
different. Everyone's team's different. So, what works for you may not work that well for me.
Yeah, exactly. Duke's asking, do we prefer Humphrey in 45K or Sharp in 135K?
At this point, I would go. So there's two trains of thought. So when does Brisbane's got round 12 by, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So we don't even have to worry about the buy round being a big issue, because Sharp will play for the buys. Then we actually need Sharp to play for the buys, which is round round 14 and 15. I would almost say with Chris Fagan's comments today, grabbing Sharp might be the better option. Humphrey, you really need him to get to that like 350K mark, a little bit more, which is fantastic. If you couldn't finish your team, all right, let's look at this two trains of thought. Humphrey, in this situation, I'm using Humphrey to get to an upgrade. I want Humphrey to get to 350K so I can use like a Wilmot, I can use a Harry Sharp example, I can use a Weddle or someone to downgrade to go Humphrey up to a premium. That's why I brought Humphrey in. If I can't finish my team, that's a Humphrey trade. If I'm looking for a downgrade for a player, though, like if I've got Oscar Baker and I want to get the cash out of Oscar Baker and use that to upgrade someone else who's on field, I take Sharp every day of the week, because he's going to be playing. It looks like Chris Fagan likes him. He knows his name. And that extra money, that extra 70-odd K that you get from the two is very, very valuable at the moment. So Humphrey, if I want to upgrade and I need the position, I need Humphrey to upgrade my team, Humphrey in. If I have Sharp and I need to, if I've got a rookie who's around the 250, 280, even 300K mark, and I need to downgrade, grab Sharp. Hopefully that helps you out.
Yeah, very nice. Oh, Jonas. Said a stomped his toe, the Egypt Cup. He got his foot stomped. It's so hard. He's got a fracture. I will not have the disrespect. The poor bloke was sniped. He was sniped, mate. They knew. They saw the danger.
I'm hearing Sincotta might be dropped.
Oh, we'll see. We'll see in a sec. Dan, Frio Tragic, Hobbs, 80% mid-time. Yeah, hopefully. Oh, man, we need to give him mid-time. 100% we do. Do we need another forward, though? I love it how you say we, as if you back for Essendon or something. I think we're fine. I think in terms of forwards, like I've got Cornelio, Rosie, D-Cam can go forward. Gorn will get forward status. I think there's a lot of forwards, actually. I think a lot of teams are going to have too many forwards. So I'm not sure if you need another forward, unless you're missing a Goulden, a Rosie, a Cornelio. I've got way too many forwards at this point.
In saying that, I think I've actually got to move around some players because I've got Sincotta on field. So if you had to, going back to the Sharp and Humphrey, if you're worried about not having enough midfielders to actually play, I think Humphrey's a better pick. A 70 or an 80 from him is a lot better than like a 50 from Sharp. So.
Yeah, see, Owen's question about, again, did he go with the Sharp or do you go with the Humphrey? You know what I mean? Like, is doing Chandler and McKenna out for Sharp and Stewart, or does he just go Humphreys and Cash or Kennedy? What are your thoughts on him? So, yeah, Kennedy, I'm not 100%
take the upgrade. Tom Stewart has been teasing us. I can't get him in this week, which is really frustrating because of the upgrades that I'm doing. But Stewart has
let you guys off the hook.
Yeah. Stewart's been teasing us for 3 weeks saying, you better get me in because I'm going to drop a 180. It's coming. It's like, it's coming.
It's coming.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
You have
he almost went 160 at the G. You know what I mean? Like, imagine when he gets to Geelong. What he's going to do in Geelong. So, you got to get him in, Owen. I really agree.
Yeah, that's fine.
And on to my last comment, Big Joe.
Yeah.
Big J.
He was just saying you can't upload at the moment.
Yeah, fair enough. Hiswa. What's this? Your new name means the Big JJs. The Big JJs. That's not too bad. I like it. Oi, what's up with this? Sean, what is this?
Mate, he's cooked.
God,
he's cooked.
What's going on?
Why is
everyone freaking jumping on him?
Well done. Put some butter on there and some like ham and stuff.
Thank you, Swizz. Swizz got my back. Swizz got my back.
I didn't see that comment. Merritt or Rao? Mate, I don't like the Matt Rao pick. I'm sorry. People are jumping on him. He's a bit cheaper. He dropped to 160. Oh, I'm just not keen, man. But there is merit there. Merit. There is merit to the pick. So, yeah.
I don't know. Rao.
I like the buy round. The best thing about Matt Rao, if he keeps up this scoring, is his buy round. So, yeah.
Yeah, he's a roller coaster. He's really heavily reliant on having some clean disposal because he's certainly capable of having some shockers in terms of disposal efficiency. And there are games where he fluctuates in disposals anyway. Like he might have 18 disposals, and another week he might have 29 odd disposals.
With Tuke Miller not in the team, he has been getting a little bit more. But then he went big the week that Noah Anderson was shocking. So
correct.
If Noah Anderson goes back to doing well, does Matt Rao fall off a cliff?
Yeah, and he played West Coast. Let's be real. Like, you're not going to play West Coast every week. And clearly West Coast went and tagged Anderson because they have the outside runner. They don't have an inside guy. Yeah, exactly. As Swizz says, yeah, there you go. See, Rao can't play West Coast every week. So I'd definitely say that I'd go Merritt 100%. I like it.
Trunks. I feel sorry for you, mate. Mills, LDU, Setters, and Hopper. Boy, that's rough. All of them look to be out for quite a long time. Oh, mate, I don't even know where to do it. You all need midfielders, right? So midfielders for everyone is okay. I would almost say offload the guys who are the most expensive so you can actually come into it and grab yourself 2 new premiums. I would hate for you. It feels a lot better inside to be holding 400K on the bench than holding 500K on the bench. So maybe Mills and LDU are the ones to go out. They both look to be coming back after the bye anyway. So but I'm not saying Setterfield and Hopper are going to come back next week. There is a tiny chance they may. But Mills and LDU at least give you a decent enough return that with some money in the bank, you can actually grab someone. I would offload those 2 people first.
Yeah, you got to use the money, man. You got to use the money.
North is cursed, mate. At least you have people turning up to your games.
You won a flag in recent memory, bro.
Exactly.
Take it easy. Take it easy, mate. Jeez. Yeah. You reckon
if North had to play West Coast right now, you guys would beat us. So, your team's still better than our team.
Like, what the hell, this guy? Honestly, West Coast, they complain all of a sudden that they've got some injuries to people who are 55 years old, and they're saying they're cursed. Mate, you saw these guys win a flag for you, and in the best way possible, beating Collingwood after they choked up a lead. That is the best way to win a flag. This is the number one best Coast Eagle.
You'll have Dom Sheed. You'll have the gif of Dom Sheed kicking a goal for the rest of your life. So just be happy with that, really.
100%. It brings me joy. It brings me joy.
Go to the normal rankings for a sec, Joe. How far ahead is this person? Okay, sorry, I missed it. So a good 90 points ahead. So that's decent.
Yeah, 90 points ahead of second.
Yeah.
Dawson, Stewart, Dacos, Day, Liam Baker.
Yeah,
Interesting
people
shout
brought
there.
him in pretty cheap.
Connor McKenna, Whittle
So one
Wagner.
upgrade. So we'll just try and count how many upgrades they've got left.
So one.
Yep. Bont, Oliver, Taranto. Wow. Okay.
Two.
Yeah. And then Bailey Smith as well. I don't think people are considering Bailey
Three.
Smith and some other guys. Yeah.
Four. So he's got 4 players still to upgrade. He went early on Drury.
Yeah, that's all right. I see this team. So who's asking this? So Sparks. I don't mind this team, but it gives me the feeling of someone who went really well in the first couple of rounds and is now going to struggle to actually maybe not finish their team, but struggle to actually compete with everyone else. Having guys like Baker, he's going to drop his 60s and 70s versus a consistent 100, right? Same with Bailey Smith. Same with, he's got to upgrade Hopper and things like that. So I don't think anyone's going to have a completed team at the moment. But looking at his cash gen on his bench, I've seen better teams. There's a few people around the 10s to 20 ranking mark that still have quite a few good players on their bench and are close to this in ranking and close to this in finishing their team as well. So I don't know, man. It's a good team, but it feels like someone that is going to ride pick number 1. He's going to ride ranking number 1 for a few weeks. And then as everyone else's team starts to mature, those guys in the top 50 are going to overtake him pretty quick. Yeah. There's not much difference between him and number 10. Maybe number 10's a bit far. There's not much difference between him and number 5 in points, right? It's 200 points. There's no difference. But you look at some of these people and their teams are so much better.
I heard Steele, Hopper, Roberts.
And the game doesn't upgrade itself. That was last week as well. So
this is last week.
Money. Yeah. You don't know how much money they've got in the bank. So I love the team. Feels like a team that burst out of the gates really early, picking up some good value picks like Baker and things like that. But I don't know how he's going to go for the rest of the year. Or good luck to him anyway.
Yeah, 100%. Exactly.
Team sheets out soon. Let's bust out.
Yeah, they'll be out soon.
Let's go.
Duke loves the banter. Yeah, it's all about having some good fun, mate.
Yeah, man. We gotta make it entertaining, but also just have fun, which is what we're looking for.
Yes, Wiz, you guys. I was optimistic about it last week, and then you suddenly beat Geelong. We lose half of our midfield, and we might even play without Redmond, who had the fluoro cap on. So, mate, we're just losing everybody. So, yes, you're going to freaking demolish us. Congratulations. Yet again, we are your bunnies. Oh, my God. Harvey, once we delist David Noble's favourites and Turner and Mahoney and
a lot's going to change at North Melbourne. A lot of players are going to go. A lot of the coaching staff's going to go. Been speaking to Joe off air about this, and if your win-loss record as a coach, I'm sorry, as much of a good person as you are, as much of a favourite North Melbourne man as you are, if your win-loss record as a coach is something like 10 wins and 80 losses, you're getting chopped, mate. A club that wants to move up the ladder, performance is everything, even in your job. If you have a shop that never sells anything, your shop's going to go bust, right? If you've got a business that can't perform a service, your business goes under. Why are coaches being held this long when their win-loss ratio is like this? Maybe they were great at another club. A lot of the time they weren't. They were, assistant at another club and then they came here. So it's not like they've come from premiership level quality teams either. Coaching staff are as much of a trouble as the players are at the moment. So,
Mitch Duncan, low-grade hamstring strain. If you haven't got Stewart, you gotta get Stewart in really soon, boys. You gotta get Stewart.
I'll chat to you off stream, mate. No worries.
Jonas, who would you trade this week? Darcy, Will Mutt, or Will Ashtray?
I think you have to. Can you trade neither? Because both are playing at Brisbane for the next couple of weeks. So surely you hold them at least until the bye round. If you had to trade someone, I'd probably say Wilmot. Yeah. As Swiss says, trade Wilmot.
Wilmot. All right, let's have a look. Are the team lineups out?
Not yet.
All right, we've got some teams.
Oh, we do? All right. Teakle omitted. Teakle omitted, Joe.
Teakle God.
Oh, man.
Scott Light shit is in. Light shit is in. Oh, boy.
Yeah,
Petty,
that's rough.
Jordan, Sparrow. Salem back. So I don't know how important that is for any people got any
Zach Butter's named on ball, which is nice.
Ooh, Hippo, how's it going, Hippo? Guys, if you haven't subbed to Hippo,
nothing yet. Nothing yet about Laird's calf, but maybe about his ribs. There you go, mate. Yeah, we'll find out today. See what happens.
Oh, mate. Yeah, I don't think there's anything crazy. Petrarca on the ball. Very nice.
Gorn, yeah, if you're still watching, mate, hopefully you're feeling a lot better than when we had you on the other channel. So, yeah.
This guy, man. This guy. Yeah. Why did Ken Hinkley have to drop him? Oh my God.
It's rough. So Duke, from what I understand, no. Stop. Scroll up. Don't show me this. Yep.
Look at all of this. From what I understand,
it's just a wait and see for tomorrow. But hopefully he's okay. From what I understand, he should be okay. Just a wait and see tomorrow. He's got to get through the training session tomorrow, so we'll know by tomorrow night. You don't have to trade him out at the moment, but just a big wait and see there.
You want me to scroll down yet?
Yep, go for it.
Oh, also, you're most welcome, God. That was good fun. Love watching him play. He's playing some AFL 23, guys. If you haven't weren't watching, he's playing AFL 23. Whereas Hippo is playing COD. So yeah, people our super coaches are now getting into gaming.
I gotta get the AFL 23 working up as well. So yeah, it's gonna happen.
Was a live stream on a Sunday night as the scores come in live? It's a good question, man. It's because life joined us, unfortunately.
Like you can. It's just very late. Like the Sunday games are pretty shifty, right? A lot of people will put out team reviews and things like that, but we've had games where the last games, it's 4:40 or 5:30 or something on that day, and then it just ends up being too late. Maybe we'll get into it when my work hours.
Medium J is catching on. Yeah. Stop it. Done. Stop it. I'm not Medium J.
Medium J.
I am not Medium J. I refuse to believe it. Cheese is asking if Max Gawn is a must get next week once he gets DPP. I would think so.
No, it's a wait and see for me. I think you need him in your team, but seems to only be scoring 80s and 90s with Brodie Grundy in there because they share the ruck time as much as what they are. So that's the only concern I've got. Don't bust your ass to get him in if you've already got a full forward line like a lot of people have. Or I would almost even say a Darcy Cameron at the moment, if he's fully fit, may be a better option than a Max Gawn. Because if he's sharing ruck time with Brodie Grundy, he might be capped at 100 in scoring. So fantastic player, everything. Been a staple in our Supercoach teams, but there's really kind of that thing that we've got to worry about. Let's scroll down, Drew. Scroll down.
You do know he scored a 130 the week before with Grundy in the team. But,
yeah, and then last week he scored like a 90. So
yeah, but he's capable of going huge.
I don't know.
Aaron Hall is in. Oh no, CCJ, Shite, Ford, Wardlaw, Powell, Phillips. For those of you dying who still have Phillips, I don't know who still has Phillips, but Phillips is in.
They have to be a lot of ins, man. With all the injuries we had this week. So.
Oh, but the most important thing is good. There is no out of Drury. That's the most important thing. No Drury out.
To be honest, I was surprised they didn't put Clarko in the outs, but I think that would be poor form at the moment.
Goodbye. Dill Stevens,
I didn't think as a North fan, I didn't think Drury was going to get dropped. As a Supercoach fan, I'm glad he wasn't. But just with the amount of injuries we had in the team, I think they had to play him.
Look at this Hickey, man. He's out for so long. Finally comes back and bang, injured.
Gets injured.
This guy is cursed, actually. Come on, let's be real.
Look at that. So Joe and I have been talking off field about some good captain options this week and vice captain. Big number 21 in the followers, I think, is a cheeky shot there. So just have to look out for him. He's dropped 2 150s in a row. He's versing a weaker North Melbourne team. I think he may be a cheeky VC option this week. If you don't have a Petrarca, like Joe now has, go for Goulden. I think VC, you might get a bit lucky there.
Yeah,
See
VC.
how we go.
I don't know. It could even be a captain
She's all in the centre.
because Melbourne plays before him. So I might end
Yeah.
up having a Melbourne VC and then a captain on Goulden.
Maybe. The options this week are really weird because a lot of teams are playing early on Saturday. Like a lot of what we consider to be our good teams are playing early on Saturday. So we might just get stuck not being able to do much. Captains wise. Maybe we pick both of them in the first 5 or 6 games and that's it. Wardlaw named on the ball is fantastic.
Oh, she's named on a wing.
Yeah. So that's something that I'm a little bit concerned about because he was named there last week. So hopefully he's just going to swap with like a Miller Bergman. We'll see.
Big J, 5:30, Swizz at 8 p.m. Stuff the mainstream.
Go for it. I'm happy.
Love it.
Let's do it.
100%, man. Let's have a look. Let's go down to Doggies versus Crows. Ben Keys with a 100th. Congratulations to Ben Keys.
Pretty funny considering he was, I think he got delisted and then got picked up by Adelaide. So, pretty cheap. I mean, to play 100 games.
Injured, that's huge. The sub. Walker.
There's not really anyone relevant.
Managed against the Doggies? That's pretty bold, I reckon.
I don't think he was 100% last week. We're looking for a good game from, where is he? James O'Donnell. So he's one that we're really looking for a good game for this week. There's a lot of options and things like that we could be looking for. So yeah.
Cool.
Oh, yeah. See you, God. Have fun. Well, not God. See you, Super Coach God, Mr. Jack. Have fun, buddy. Good luck at footy.
Stengel is in.
Yeah, and Simpson's still playing.
No, Simpson out because Ollie Henry had his balls ruptured. So that's rough.
That's a rough injury, man.
That's a rough injury. Ruptured balls. Gee whiz. I wouldn't want to be Henry. Jai Clark is injured. He plays one game, gets injured. That's rough. Mitchie Duncan, he's injured. Get around Stewart's, ladies and gentlemen.
For some reason, I was getting Oliver Henry and Jack Henry mixed up, and I'm like, but why is all these forwards still playing if a defender's out? And I'm like, oh yeah, that's who Ollie Henry is.
Yeah,
keep going.
Henry.
I'm confused. Sean Darcy. Is Johnson named? Go back up. Anyone from Freo named that we care about? Nah, no. That sucks, man. That really sucks.
He's emergency, so he could be the sub.
No Wagner, no anybody. Boy, oh boy, that sucks so much.
Johnson could be the sub.
I don't think he's the sub.
Why not? He's off suspension. Why not?
Yeah, but they've got Erasmus still there. They've got Will Brody.
He was
still
dropped.
There
he's being managed. Why would they sub him if he's the managed?
Because the way they work is if he's named as a sub and he's not named in the field, then he has to become up as like managed or something when it comes up to the team sheets. Because he came on field, he played, and then they're like, oh, he's not in the best 22. So yeah, it's just a weird quirk with the team sheets that some people at AFL HQ are not happy about. So
fair enough.
Just scroll down.
All right, next game.
Charlie Constable.
Oh, Thomas Berry's been dropped, so he's not an option anymore.
The coach actually spoke about him in the presser today. He said, "Oh yeah, the guy's playing well. Whatever." No. None of my rookies are playing. Sharp's named, which is fantastic. He's named on the interchange, but that's okay. Zorko's back, which is good. So yeah, just Daniel Rich, but I don't think he's the one to really worry about. So yeah,
he's not.
Harry Sharp's an okay pick, boys.
He's not even an emergency, so maybe he's still got
No, he's got a while.
Yeah, he might still have a while.
Well, I know someone else is named, so yeah, and no, oh mate,
Giordano Ridley's back. Let's go.
Back, but no Montgomery named on field, which is really disappointing. It's tough. Thompson Dow's back in, Nank's back in, so Samson
which
Ryan's
automatically kills Samson Ryan scoring.
He doesn't though, because Samson Ryan's a key forward that pinch hits in the ruck. Yeah, he's not going to be his main ruck anymore, but it's still good for a 50 and a 60 plus. So maybe. I don't think it affects him too much. Probably just means he doesn't get bullied, because he'd get really bullied against Essendon. Like, they're as bad as Essendon is at the moment. Their ruck situation's pretty good. So yeah,
exactly.
Who was the guy that got named last week? the first. Oh, Kane Baldwin. So Kane Baldwin.
Hey, Crazy Frog. Thanks for coming on, man. Really happy to see you here. Kane Baldwin was named. He's managed to hold his spot, which is really impressive. Massimo's been dropped, which is pretty big, especially with the news that other clubs are circling. Inquiring. He's out of contract.
He's a good player. He'll sign up with Essendon again. North Melbourne should go for him. He'll sign up again. With your bunch, no worries.
But Rhett Montgomery isn't the emergency.
The next one, Joe.
So no, there's no. He's getting close. I think Rhett is getting close to a game, as is Nick Bryan.
If Ridley wasn't in, I think Rhett may have come in.
Yes.
But then Redmond's playing, 100%. So you worry about Redmond not playing is
That's what I'm saying. There could be a late out. There could be a late out if Redmond doesn't get up for the game, and Rhett Montgomery would switch in for him. I think similar build. So it's possible.
The comments.
What's happening with the comments?
I'm just reading the comments.
Yeah, highlight some funny ones then if you're laughing. Oh wait, let me refresh this. There should be more games than that. Medium Joe's man crush for Stewart is too good to watch. Are you guys really happy with this Medium J? This
Medium Joe done.
I'm not smaller than him. I'm a bigger than life character, man. You gotta have some sort of.
Scroll down.
Call me extra Joe or something. I don't want to be medium.
Medium Joe.
I'm not medium in anything. I wish. All right. Next game.
Yeah. So Campbell Chess is playing.
Wingard out. Giath out.
Actually, no. So Campbell Chess is not playing. This is it. People are saying Campbell Chess is playing. He's named in the interchange, so they haven't announced their team.
Wait, this is a Sunday game. Yeah, this is Sunday game. Yeah.
So he's close, but he's not actually named on field. So just have to be a little bit wary with our
if it was on field, then it'll be locked in. But he's not on field; he's interchange. So
unless you're Brad Scott and you can name someone in the team and say "see you later" and you're a sub, so that rule's changing a little bit as well. Weddle on the bench. I think Weddle plays. Probably Fergus Green plays. Ned Reeves probably plays, and maybe like a Scrimshaw or something plays. I'm just looking at Hawthorn. But it's good. Seamus Mitchell's there, so yeah, no complaints.
Fergus Green extended. Weddle extended. You'd think Weddle would hold with Giath and Wingard both out. But
you'd hope
they've got a few ins here, so who knows? Keep an eye out, I suppose. Carlton Collingwood. DC is in, but as some have mentioned, but he's number one on the interchange. I reckon he's going to play.
I think so too.
Tom de Conning, Zach Fisher. Interesting ins.
But no
is not on field.
Oh yeah,
Sincotta is interchange, so he could get dropped. Very nerve-wracking. Walsh on the ball. Then there's a follower. Interesting. Ash Johnson, Scott Pendlebury, Tom Mitchell. Yeah, nothing crazy here. To go in them in the middle, as you expect. Yeah, Harvey Harrison. He needs to play. This kid is really good. I really rate him as a player. I was hoping. I actually had my eye on him during the preseason. I think he's certainly capable. And he can kick goals, but they don't need to kick goals, apparently, at Collingwood. They're doing just fine without him. Yeah. Last game. Oh! Fahey! Huge!
Yeah, but he's named on the interchange. They haven't even done an announcement for him.
It's exciting, though. It's exciting.
Yeah, he's getting close.
Because Brown's a defender.
Maybe.
Brown's a defender. Briggs is a ruckman.
We'll see. But you know who is named, Joe?
Ricard is a forward.
Joe, who's named for St Kilda?
Tom Campbell's named.
No. Who else is named for St Kilda?
Jade Gresham.
No. Who else is named for St Kilda?
Jimmy Webster.
Look at the interchange.
Jack Steele.
Jack Steele. He might be playing.
He could be a late out. He could be a late out.
Yeah, they all could be late outs.
Yeah, but he could be laid out. So take it easy. Let's not celebrate. Don't celebrate, mate. Don't celebrate. It's still too early days. But I'm more excited about Fahey. He has some great VFL numbers.
His numbers are very good.
Yeah, they are very good. It just sucks that he's got the round 15 bye like everybody else does. He would have been awesome, but he'll certainly make a lot of money, I think, for us.
Joe, how is Massimo not getting a game? Go back to Essendon.
He doesn't have a defensive. He doesn't have a defensive bone in his body. He's all offensively minded.
He can just run. Yeah.
He's light.
Like Adam
he
Saad.
runs, and when under pressure, he'll turn the ball over. So he is entirely meant to be a distributor. Think of him as our version of Caleb Daniel, and Caleb Daniel is not the best defensive player. He's legit a liability for his team. So for me, I'm worried. I don't mind it. I don't mind him getting dropped. I don't mind him being used as the sub. To be completely honest, I'd rate him above Hind. I don't know how he's getting dropped all the time and Hind isn't. Because this dude is legit a lunatic.
I think maybe his ability to actually play out a full game is probably a bit of an issue as well. But forward, Alwyn Davies playing. So he's named on field this week. Hopefully he scores more than a 7. He's it's tough, man.
Look at this. Look at this on-ball brigade. Sammy Draper tapping to Hobbs and Perkins. Let's go.
It's the 22-year-olds, Joe.
It's the baby bombers all over again.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's go. Oh my God. So yeah, it's baby bombers, man. Against Toby Nankervis is back.
See what Joe said here? Between us, Supercoach Insider, DR, and Hippo, pretty much replaced SEN. Mate, thanks very much.
Oh, John. You turned my heart into carbonara now. John, it's unbelievable.
It's pretty
this
good,
is
mate.
Remarkable. Medium Joe on fire. Let's just take it easy. Like even Swizz.
There's a few other comments in there as well.
Freaking heck, even Swizz. Redmond out would be great. Bomber should rest. Yeah. Bro, half the team is rested already. Yeah. Take it easy.
It'd be worse Sam Draper getting rested. I think they should rest Sam Draper as well.
100%.
He needs a break. So, yeah. You're done. You're cooked. Guys, if anyone's got any questions, we'll probably finish up today maybe 7:30 or around 7 o'clock. So chuck in your questions, yeah? Happy to answer any questions that you guys have. So
yeah, I agree. Cheese. Fahey's a gun. I'm gonna see if I can pull up his stats actually. They're really good numbers, and he was name dropped by
Medium Joe
a couple of weeks ago.
Have you heard Medium Joe? Have you heard Adam Sandler sing Medium Pace?
Have I heard Adam Sandler? I will pull it up. I have not heard him sing it. No. He's actually had quite a few games.
So, from what I've heard with Jack Steele, he is okay to play. He's just got to get through the training session tomorrow. So potentially he's okay. There's some photos coming out yesterday of the what were we saying? Of him at like training, but from what I understand, it's just all precautionary. So potentially he's still playing this week, which would be fantastic for us. So yeah,
so look at Fahey's numbers. Fahey's numbers.
It's not bad.
He's not a brand newie. He's been playing VFL off and on from 2021, and there is progression. And his stats this year have just gone up to
So where does he play, Joe? Is he a defender or is he
He's
forward?
A half-backer. Yeah, no, he plays a half-back. So he's got a good Supercoach role, very friendly for Supercoach scoring. And you can tell just simply to his kick-to-handball ratio how often he likes this. So look at this year, 23 touches, 15 kicks, 43 touches, 34 kicks, 37 touches, 31 kicks. And look at all the marks because they like to chip mark around the back line. But not only that, he also is accountable because he also tackles as well. I am super excited about this kid. I've been hoping that he plays for the longest time, and it's about goddamn time that Kingsley's finally playing him.
Is he 123K or 117K? What is his
What's his price? What's his price?
All right, 123, but he's DPP defensive mid.
DPP defensive mid. Oh, that is huge. Very, very nice. He will definitely be a Supercoach option. Yep, I've got a few of his. He looks brilliant. Yeah, 100% cheese. I'm really excited for this guy. I really am. I'm so happy that he's finally been named. The only annoying thing is that because he's got the round 15 bye, he's not going to play. But the thing is, by that point, I think he would have had 3 price rises. And probably those first 3 price rises are probably the biggest ones, the biggest jumps. So yeah, looking good.
Sharp. We did something at the start of the episode, Luke. You must have missed it. Coach was talking about him saying his body's getting better, he's getting stronger, just needs consistent footy. So he's been named again in the team. I don't think he's going to get dropped anytime soon.
Oh, wait.
Good enough downgrade option.
Big beard and medium beard.
Nah. Done.
He's got beard. I've got goatee, but yeah, I don't mind that big beard.
Darcy Moore Stewart. So yeah, I think Stewart's been teasing us too much not to have him in our team. So you've got to get him in if you can.
Yeah. Oh, Stewart. I'm going to be in a glorious position having both of them this week.
I know. It sucks. And Petrarca and Decam and Gorn and Joe. I'm telling you, watch out, guys. Joe's team post-bye, it's going to be fun to watch. He's going to score really big. No, don't show your team. We'll do another team review video tonight. All right.
In a video.
Yeah, Swizz, go for it. Check out Swizz at 8 o'clock, guys.
Yeah, 100%. We're going to be there. I'm going to be there as well. Don't worry. I'm not talking, but I'll be in the comments.
Yeah, I got stuff.
Miriam.
Sincotto, Baker, Humphrey, Weddle, Seamus Mitchell. So, from my understanding, is Sincotto's been dropped. He's going to go play VFL this week, which is unfair, but it's life. Would have loved this player to score us some more points in Supercoach. I think Baker's okay. I think Humphrey's okay. And then you've got the Freo boys. Seamus Mitchell's been scoring quite well. Got a good role in that Hawthorn team. So maybe him and probably one of Baker or Humphrey. But yeah, heard it here first. From what I understand, Weddle's out. Not Weddle, Sincotto's out. So yeah.
Vin traded Merritt and Decamp, but now I'm going to bring in Butters instead. 114-point average in his new role this season. And looks to get better. Decent upcoming matches too. Yeah, look, Butters, I was saying this at the start. I think Butters is a better player and will be a better scorer than Rosie. The only problem is his durability in terms of how unlucky he is with injuries playing kamikaze football. And another thing is he's got that round 15 bye. I know we keep mentioning it, but that round 15 bye is so crucial, and it's going to hit a lot of really big name players. If you're able to bring in guys who are very fairly priced, in fact, underpriced. I think Merritt for that price is super cheap. I think Decam for that price is really cheap as well. Garrett, I think he's going to be a top 6 forward of that. There shouldn't be any, I don't think, a doubt. Maybe top 8 tops. Whereas Butters, yeah, he's playing the new role, but you never know when he's going to go down, and he's going to have that bye. That's again, I keep talking about that bye. The byes are where you can jump a lot in rankings. Like Big J says it all the time. He went up thousands of rankings just by simply having the right bye structure.
And really not having donuts on field in the crucial times. It's very, very, very important. So round 18, guys, we'll talk about this later on. We'll put up a video next week, but round 15 bye, you must have 18 players. If you can have more, but you should be aiming to do this because there's going to be a lot of teams in the higher ranks that have picked up the North players, picked up quite a few others that are not going to be having 18 players. And you will jump up in rankings.
Yep, exactly. Would you rather the buttery Kent Zach Butters or the golden child? Mate, Jonas always comes up with these names. It's like, Global always comes in with his peanuts, and then Jonas comes in with the punny names. I love it.
If I was an AFL team and I had to pick between Butters or Goulden, it's a really tough situation. Who would I pick between the two?
Well, when Sydney's bye?
No, I just mean just in general. Bye. Like if you had to pick someone.
Wait, just is it a general football question?
Yeah, just general. Like if you had to pick between the two as a general football question, which one would you pick?
I like Goulden.
Yeah, maybe I'll go Zach Butters.
I like Goulden. I think Goulden's better. I think
I like
Goulden.
Zach Butters' durability. Like he just runs in and bashes people. So yeah.
You like the thuggery. No, I think Goulden is capable of inside, outside. I think he has class. I think he's one of the best kicks in the competition. He's capable of going forward. They're both very similar players. I will give you that. But I think Goulden is capable of more contested. I think Goulden has a more contested side to his game that Butters doesn't have. I don't think. I think Butters is too kamikaze.
I think a lot of people in chat are saying they'll go Goulden too. Cheese is saying Goulden, Swiss is saying Goulden. So
well, there we go. Democracy.
Done.
This is Democracy Manifest. Ben Bailey with an Apple. He's an Apple loser. User. Should I buy Clary or go Merritt this week? Feels like Clary will get tagged. Look, they can try. Yeah, Clary will probably be the guy that they send Willem Drew to. Yes. But Clary is such a contested bull. No one has really been able to really clamp him down other than probably one of the greatest taggers of all time in De Boer. And he is rip bozo gone into retirement. So I don't know. Clary will probably get the tag, but he's a gun. He'll work through it. He's contested. He'll fight for the ball. He does everything that he needs to do to get the points, I reckon. You should come change it. Oh, if you're happy to have me, Swizz, shoot us the link. I'm happy to jump on, man. Cheese. Hey guys, I have a bunch of DPP players. Was looking at doing Davey and Hopper to Neil and Sharp. Leaves me with 1K. Haha. Was looking at Sicily, Merritt, and Decam as well. What are your thoughts? Davey and Hopper to Neil and Sharp. Yeah, I don't know, man. Neil, he just doesn't strike me with a lot of confidence. I mean, you can talk to... There are a bunch of people in the top 1% who have him. Even Hippo has him as well. But Lockie Neal, he just doesn't seem to have that consistency. And his biggest highlight was his ability to start the years really hot.
Yeah.
Start the season super hot, get at a price really quickly, and then drop. He hasn't really done that. He's actually dropped in price by over 100K. This is... And part of the reason why a lot of people didn't start him this year was because obviously they've added Dunkley, they've also added Ashcroft, so it's a different midfield.
The points have to come from somewhere.
The points have to exactly like where are they going to get their points from? So his break even's 155 this week against Gold Coast. So you can absolutely wait. He's scored one game where he went 176, but that was against North Melbourne. So.
That was his best game of the year.
Best game of the year, exactly. So I'd certainly say wait on Neil at 574K. Get a Zachy Merritt in, who is 10K cheaper with a much better run. You know what you're going to get from Zach Merritt. He's unlike Neil. He ends the season hot, so there's upside to his scoring. Unlike Neil, who tends to have his early scoring be the hot scores, and he hasn't even done that. So, yeah, I'd certainly wait. Let him be a during buy trade in, for example. Yes, I agree. Fife got to be on a watch list to pick up after Freo, but as long as his body doesn't cark it again. That's the big if, right? His body is really weird.
No, it's not for me. I'm not bringing in Nat Fife. I'm sorry. I think if you bring in Nat Fife, you're a bit silly. As much as
it's just as a swingman cover for 1 week injuries.
Nah, I don't think so. I think there's better options around. Like if you've got 200K and Fife is 200K, then maybe. But
it's pretty good. Yeah, that's the aim.
You're asking for Nat Fife to be out in your team on the bench, costing you 250K just being on your bench. Like Nat Fife's cooked, I reckon. I don't think he's going to do much the rest of the year. Happy to be proven wrong, but it's not for me. I'm sorry. I'm not going to advocate Nat Fife. outside of like we did in the first round of football this year.
Yeah, look, yeah, you can have faith in Neil. I mean, he's a Brownlow medalist. The guy's a gun. There's no denying his ability. He's one of the cleanest players I've ever seen. Below the knees, just one single take, quick handball out. It's amazing. So this is obviously no disrespect to him as a player, and I think he's not being required to be that man anymore, where he is just dominating. He's got support. He's now playing rather than playing the hero. He is playing within a system that is super talented with a bunch of support from Dunkley, from Ashcroft, etc. So they're working together and they're winning games. I'm not sure that Fagan is going to be demanding of a lot of changes onto their team lineup, because they're winning the games in the way that they very comfortably. So I'm not sure if we're going to see a massive up spike in his scoring, especially not this week. He's up against, the Gold Coast midfield's pretty good. And Jared Witts is a very strong ruckman. Big O is probably going to struggle against him to really get some tap outs to his, midfielder's advantage. So I can't see him reaching 155, that's for sure.
The thing with Neil, and I think we've been blessed a little bit with all these cheaper premiums, is that the people that are really going to struggle to finish their teams actually have some options this year. I remember last year and the years before, I had guys like Darcy Moore on my field because they were like 250k, not 250, like 470k. This year we're going to have quite a few players that were at least good last year that can bounce back at around that mid 500k mark. A lot of defenders are going to be around that price. A lot of forwards are going to be around that price. The scoring, every kind of year, the way the scoring works almost changes, where last year the ruckmen were only scoring 110s, and that was normal and that was okay. Previous to that, the ruckmen were scoring 150s and the rest of them weren't that good. So the rest of the team scores well, the ruckmen score low. The prices for everyone else are inflated, right? Yeah. When the ruckmen score well, you end up having all these mid prices around the 550k mark. Not mid premiums, around the 550k mark. Across the back line, across the forward line, across the midfield. So, looking at that list, we could pick up Cripps in a couple of weeks at 550. Lockie Neal a couple of weeks at 550. Jack Steele around that price. Maybe not Mills because he's injured, but I've just routed off three. Grab Brayshaw around that price. All these guys that really have the potential after their bye in the second half of the season to actually be, top 8 mids. So, as Swizz says here, grabbing Neal after his bye. That might be the play. And that may be something that I'm looking at to doing as well. Just depending on how his scoring is in that price.
Yeah, exactly. Big J is the fellow lead starters. Are you ever going to start a 700k player again? I keep expecting them to do something big in that. I will never, ever start someone who's 700k ever again. Genuinely, never again. That's way too much money.
Yeah, it's a tough one.
I'm not going to do it. I'm just not going to do it.
Oh, we might have a bit of a special guest hanging around. What do you
Ooh, very special guest, guys. Impromptu. I did not know this was happening. Guys.
How you doing, Pommy?
Pommy and Oz, mate. Pommy, how's it going, Pommy?
Hey up, lads. How we diddling?
How you doing?
Oh, can't complain.
Oh, that's good.
I love the colour.
When you ooze masculinity, like myself, you don't fear pink.
It's too masculine. Your camera's turned off.
Yeah. Oh man,
it's too masculine for the camera.
I think you've got us on a bit of an echo at the moment too, so have to fix that up. But yeah, hopefully you're doing better than you were on Monday after the stream. After your boy Carlton boys didn't have a fun game. I know you and Terry and a few others weren't feeling it very well. So yeah, hopefully you're doing a lot better this week, mate.
Yeah,
all right, we'll get him back.
The way Pommy works is he will have his rant. He'll have his segment where he rants it out, and then he'll come back and he'll be feeling better. So
yeah,
look, Mark, as Jonas says, what's this?
Swizz says here, Dacos could be 1 mil next year, and I'll probably start him. Nah, not going to happen.
No.
The thing that hurt us a lot this year, I think next year is actually going to be really interesting because we're going to have so many premiums at such a low price. We're going to get Mills cheap. We're going to get quite a few of these guys. Maybe not the right age group for a lot of people what they're looking for, but I think the next year is the year where we might start more premiums than we've ever done before. So a little bit of a prediction. I reckon there might be a few 13 and 14 premium teams just for the amount of good players who are going to be around that 550K mark next year. Really, really, really. There's going to be some fantastic ones. And we've seen, the people that started Oliver, yes, they got a bit of a return early, but, Oliver's capped out. People who started Laird has almost capped out as well. So, yeah, if you can put in 4 premiums, for me, putting in 3 premiums, there's a big difference there.
I'm not paying up
means less rookies on
anyone. I'm not paying 700,000 for anyone, and I'm not starting anyone over the age of 28. That's it. I'm going to be super vigilant, super strict with my starting team.
No, this is not like your Tinder profile, mate. You don't need to put your restrictions in the search
I'm
bar.
putting restrictions. I am dating all of these players. I am selling myself to these guys. I don't care. Yeah. I'm gonna be very selective.
Next time it's going to be. Then I can't pick any Victorians because they're not in my area, so I have to get the next ones. They're going to play with Western Suburbs
that's
teams.
What's going to happen?
Yeah,
that's not what's going to happen.
Done.
Probably tell Crip to do something. He's ruined my multis 2 weeks in a row. I think
it's pretty true, man. He got no tackles last week. I don't know what happened. He was allergic to them or something, but yeah,
unbelievable.
I think Voss is almost in panic mode. So guys like Sting Cotter who've come in and had really good weeks and had a down week, we might see.
Do you reckon bringing in Drury with Zeeble, Sheasel, Drury, and Wardlaw? A couple of them in the round 15 bye. Well,
no. So my only problem with Drury is guys like Harry Sharp are actually playing and look like they're going to be playing for a while and haven't tanked their price in Supercoach, which is a big thing. If you need a 100K downgrade, grab Drury, no problem. But if you don't, I think you're in a little bit of trouble. So don't do it. Not for me.
Fair enough. Chester is a cash sloth. Still
he's a something. I tell you what.
He's never going to be a cash cow, but maybe one day he could be a sneaky cash rat, slowly squeezing out some milk for desperate owners.
Yeah, I feel like he's going to be a bit like Constable, where he's got potential, but just doesn't seem to be scoring that well. So I don't know.
Jonas always coming out with the clutch, man. Honestly, like these amazing comments. It's so good. The worst thing about Laird was because he's so expensive. I took lower premiums like Ridley, missed down some of the better mid prices. Yeah. That's part of the cost, part of the price you pay. It's almost like a deck building issue. I don't know if you play any CCGs, but you pay up the big bucks for these limited certain players, and obviously eats into the type of team overall that you can build. Playing the value game right from the start is definitely, it's going to give you less heartache because you need your players to really score massively to justify that price point. However, if you're playing value, if they outperform their price as you expect them to, and they'll rise in price a lot, and that's obviously awesome. But at the same time, if they play at their price point, it's not a big deal either because you're getting a fair return. But when you're spending over $700,000 for a player and they don't go 120 plus every week, then it makes the game a lot less fun. I 100% agree with you. And it takes away, we end up starting unfortunate premiums like Ridley. So it hasn't turned out to be a premium at all.
I think Ridley was always pretty sketch, to be honest. But it's more, even if they go 120, if other players who are valued at a lot less are going 120 as well, then it diminishes the return of those 700K people. Because it's like, okay, I've got this thing that I pay 700K so I can get an advantage over you, right? So my team in some aspect can be better than your player. My team can score a little bit more points and I can figure it out later on. If I've got a 700K player that's scoring 120 and you've got Jai Sarong, let's say, for example, who's basically been averaging almost the same as Clayton Oliver, like this whole year, like it kind of doesn't work for selecting these guys. I don't mind the value option. I think this year we were set. We were going to pick value and it was fine. But myself personally, picking up guys like Tanner Bruin and Fife and all these players, it was the wrong players to bring in. Whereas Joe, people brought in Warpool and they had Setterfield and stuff, and their run earlier was fantastic. So value's okay, but if you're going to go, you have to nail the mid prices, and that's the really tough bit that a lot of people didn't have.
Correct.
Hey, Pommy.
Hey, up, how are we doing?
What happened to Paddy Cripps last week? We've got some hate in the chat saying he failed multis and all sorts. What's going on?
Well, I mean, he decided to have his first zero tackle game since he was 14. Just helping the competition out. It's hard being the premium bull, and sometimes you've got to give the young calves hope, haven't you? Credit to him.
Oh, what a selfless star! Honestly, what a legend. You know what I mean? Like taking away from his game, screwing everybody over in the team, maybe just to get some development. It's almost like he knows we're not going to win the flag this year. Let's pump some experience into the kids.
Yeah.
He better not be thinking we're not winning the flag this year. I tell you, he better not be thinking 100%.
That. Is Voss on the chopping block? What's happening there?
Oh, Jesus. I don't think so. No, I think my fellow blue brethren need to karma, as Mourinho used to say. We've been through a few coaches, haven't we? Let's be honest. I mean, we've probably changed coaches more time in my time being here than your average uni student does. So, it's not good. Not good, but no, I think we'll be fine. I think we're going through a bit of a rough patch at the minute, and just gotta nurse them through it.
The Blues are back, apparently. You're getting teased here. Look, it's not. That's obviously, the preseason. The thing is, there has been a lot of preseason talk. Fuck you, Big J. That's all I have to say. Change that back. This instance. Now, back to what I was saying. There's been normally in every year, there tends to be a lot of talk coming out of Carlton. I just feel like this year, this preseason, things were a lot quieter coming from Carlton. There wasn't as big or as grandiose entry into the 2023 season. You guys were sort of doing your own thing, keeping things under wrap. You're almost like ready to let your football do the talking. I felt like that's why I personally have been very bullish on your boys this year, that you're going to perform really well. I think that the way you entered this season was a lot more optimistic. I think from just a mentality point of view, like when we're done with the talk, it's now about the action. It just doesn't seem to have married up with the football performance there.
It hasn't, most certainly. I mean, Carlton fans and Carlton, the football club, we like to talk a little bit. I like to be the face of likability. So that's my market. I'm trying to make Carlton likable again and successful. It's a tough one because, I mean, when you look at it from an analytical point of view, okay, the results haven't been good. You use your eyes. Your eyes tell you that it hasn't been perfect. But then you look at the positions the boys get themselves in. They get themselves in the position. At the moment, they can't finish. Do you know what I mean? They can't finish anything, whether it's the execution from the back, the execution in front of goal. Corey here, 21 goals, 22, and 13 that have hit the poor guy in a cagoule in row Z. Things like that. And there's little things you can see. Carlton are probably the most reactive side. As much as I love my boys, we're very reactive, whether that's in the back room, whether that's from a coaching standpoint. As a fan base, you've only got to call Jeremy Cameron Jezza and you'll get 40 people killing you, saying there's only one Jezza. We're very reactive, and I think you can see it. So Harry Mackay, good example. Go back and watch his Coleman. Watch how he's set up for goal. He used to do 3 twirls of the ball and then bang. Now he's like averaging 8, 12. Sometimes he doesn't even twirl it. So you can see psychologically their subconscious ticks. For a sportsman, as a former golfer, I can tell you our setup routine's the same. That's panic is starting to set in. So for the boys, it's just about knuckling down. They're going through a hard patch and they're going to earn it. they're going to earn it in the next couple of weeks. It's hard, but if you're a Carlton fan, stick with them. If you're not a Carlton fan, at Pommy and Oz on Twitter, give me as much shit as you want. I can take it.
You dishes out as good as he takes, guys. Though, fair warning: if you're gonna go after Pommy on Twitter,
yep,
you get ready for a counter, mate. Right?
Catch you out as well. Have you heard anything about Sincotta, Pommy? Do you know why he kind of didn't perform last week, and the rumors that maybe he's gone to VFL this week?
Well, I mean, obviously it's a tough gig. Mid-ager, spent his entire career in the VFL. He's gone the hard route. I mean, last week was a tough week to be a backman at the Carlton Football Club because, I mean, it was like the early days of the Russian invasion of the Ukraine, wasn't it? There was just people everywhere in that back line, and Chincotta's only a baby in the AFL terms. Obviously, you're coming up against one of the most formidable sides, I hate to say it, in the comp this week against Collingwood, and you want your experience. You look at Carlton's interchange bench, you'd guess Hewitt, Owies, Cottrell and Kennedy are the interchange, which would mean Chincotta, Fisher, Boyd and De Koning wouldn't be there. You'd imagine Fisher's a nice little tasty sub for a bit of it, but I mean, it'd be a very negative mindset to have Chincotta as the sub. I have to say, I think that sends the wrong message to Collingwood that you're going to run us so ragged, we're bringing an extra defender on.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
I'm happy for him to go down because obviously he's playing a tough role as that kind of pseudo lockdown defender. We played Cowan as it. I didn't like that role for him, but I like his endeavour. He's more of that aggressive, attacking, defensive halfback flank. That's what we like to play him as in the VFL. So, yeah, he's probably going to miss out this week. But, opportunity for Ed Kerner. He's looks like he's going to be playing in the high half forward role. Maybe a Dacos tag job, which could be interesting.
Would be amazing because he can run.
Yeah, it really feels like kind of you guys have had a bad week last week, and then Sincotta's kind of been hit as the scapegoat, right? Like, oh look, we're making a change. We're trying to make the team better. Like, let's get rid of the one guy who has just come into the side versus all the other troubles and problems you guys had last week.
Well, I mean,
because he was fairly decent the 2 weeks before. I mean, he's on his debut, he did all right, and the week before last, he did quite well as well. So, I mean, dropping him after one bad game where the entire back line was poor, where maybe he didn't get past the ball as much versus, not tackling an opposition or not marking the opposition. It's a big difference.
Yeah, there is a difference. I mean, I would say this. I mean, I like Chincotta, don't get me wrong. He's a likeable chap. But, I mean, you're in this market to win games. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And if that means sacrificing someone, sacrifice them. I mean, he didn't set the world alight against the Lions. He didn't really set the world alight against the Doggies, although he had a lot of the ball against Brisbane. I think Carlton are definitely going to be looking at that Matty Cottrell. They've gone engine heavy this game. So you'd imagine that it looks like Ed Kerner's going to start high half forward. Probably pressure Dacos early, and then when he gets into that wing high half back position, that'll be in Cottrell's area. And then it looks like Carlton are going to go Newman on the back half and try and create that whole right-hand side where Dacos is as kind of a pressure zone. Do I like it? Not really. Ed Kerner's not in my team. I would have just put Cotter's high half forward. But I understand Chincotta going. Do you know what I mean? Matty Anderson, good mate of mine. He's a legend. I think Jordan Boyd would have been the answer if I was changing anything in that back line, because Carlton needs someone direct if we're building from the back. But, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, Michael Voss, he's won a few things, so he knows a bob or two about footy. Yeah. So I'm willing to back him in, my fridge-looking friend.
No. I mean, Cottrell is the only... Yeah, you got Jonas saying Cottrell is the only Carlton player who could run with Nicky Boy Dacos. So...
to be honest, I don't think there's anyone in the AFL that can get the kilometres and also stay defensive. No, but defensive responsible as well. The problem you've got with Nick Dacos is I covered him at length with the draft, and I know the AFL media had a little excitement about JHF, but I said it at the time, Nick Dacos is another level. Jason Horne-Francis is a good footballer, but Nick Dacos is game changing. Like in 10, 15 years' time, you all tell your grandkids you saw Nick Dacos play, and they'll be like, "Oh, Papa, tell me more." So, unfortunately, I don't think you can tag him. But I mean, Ed Kerner, like Matty says, has a massive engine. He's won Carlton's time trial every year he's been there. But when Sam Walsh came in last year and Cottrell won it this year before he got injured, so. All three of them will probably have to take it in turns. I don't think he's someone you can tag, though. You watch Collingwood intrinsically. He doesn't play halfback. So when Sydney tagged him, he uses his exceptional IQ to run between different midfield zones, which started dragging 3 or 4 players onto him, even though he didn't get the ball. So Carlton have got to be wary of that. So for me, it's going to be you're trying to take his options. I think the only way you stop Nick Dacos is ahead of the ball. You know he's going to get the ball 30, 40 times. You take away them short options because he likes that give and go. Nick Dacos is a special unit. You're talking Sam Walsh ilk, you're talking in a greater extent the Chris Judd ilk, your Benny Cousins. These guys are natural freaks of footballers. So if you start worrying about them, you're dead.
It's more a run with roll, like we saw with was it Port or was it Adelaide where they tried to actually just run like
Adelaide. They send keys to him.
Yeah, and then it didn't do anything because he just couldn't keep up. So maybe more of a run with roll, like you're saying, versus a direct negating type.
I'm a firm believer in the modern day AFL that the tag's dead, unless you're a crap side. I think the best way to deal with them is you want your high half forward to kick 5 goals and then give Fly the problem and say, right, what do I do with Dacos? He's getting battered defensively. Yeah, he's giving me 30 touches. But by heck, he's getting kicked on him. So, I mean, that's the challenge for Carlton. You've got to find the happy medium. If Carlton start worrying about Nick Dacos, we might as well just give the 4 points to Collingwood now.
Oh, 100%. Exactly. I don't know. I feel like not enough teams are implementing. Like what I saw against Collingwood when we played them on Anzac Day, it was really weird. They got to halfway so easily, because they always seem to have an open player. And then it just turned out, it seemed like we would automatically flood the back line. We were giving them wide open passes to the midfield. But from that point on, they didn't really have anyone clear to kick to. And they weren't really using their run and gun simply because they were seeing a clear option taking it. And then they had nothing to go to. So that was probably the one and only time I've seen their ball movement really get stifled, and it's just simply taking them away from their game style, giving them something obvious, and then sort of counter-attacking from there. Because, as you say, like a Dacos, he doesn't really have a great defensive game. So if you can somehow try and exploit that coming the other way, easier said than done, of course, when you've got a guy like Darcy Moore, who's absolutely killing everything that goes near him. If he's not intercept marking it, he's spoiling it. And they're really great scrambling defense. I think they're top 4 for conceding points on turnover. So I don't know what you guys are going to have to do if it means
they're annoyingly good. Let's be honest.
If it means like putting the ball on top of your heads, looking for Charlie Curnow or Harry Mackay big screamer or something, but that's obviously not sustainable.
As an Essendon fan, we can share it is an absolute annoyance that Collingwood are so good. Let's be honest. But now, for me, Nicky D, I don't worry about him. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. I don't worry about him. Maybe call me naive, but I think that they're a very good side. So Carlton have got to focus on what we can do well, iron out our short kicks, take our chances, and give them something to worry about. I think Collingwood, probably like Melbourne, their game style naturally mirrors up with everyone else pretty well. It's a very plug and play. It's almost like the USB of tactics, really. So for Carlton, we just got to stick to what you do, and that's my thing. Sydney, I think Vin nails it there. That comment, Vin is a genius. Mm-hmm. They spend so much time on trying to stop Nate Dacos look bad that before they knew it, they were 80 points down. So do you know what I mean? That's the problem. If Carlton get caught up in, oh shit, Pendlebury's good. Oh, so's Dacos. Oh, Jamie Elliott gives us a hiding every time we play him. I think before you know it, you're going to be 12 goals down. So Carlton just got to go in and say, you know what? Cripps is hard. Walsh is good. Kennedy,
Yeah.
Global will love this. Kennedy's in the form of his life. He's ranked just above average as a midfielder, and he's played 4 games at halfback. So shows you his contested numbers are going well. So for me, Carlton have got to play to their strengths. R1 would, and take it to them. And there's no bigger game. No disrespect to anyone in the AFL, but there's no bigger game than Carlton and Collingwood. This is it. This is the El Clasico. This is what you all pay your AFL membership, your KO for, so you get to see us two going toe to toe in the ring. It's what you want. So this is going to be the game. And you know what? Call me stupid, Carlton by 12.
No, fair enough.
I love it.
Anything's better. Anything's better than more footage of 8 Sydney players bashing up Nick Dacos and getting roasted for it in the media like they were all last week. So yeah,
it's going to be interesting. I mean, obviously there's some great games. There's some great games this weekend, though, isn't there? I mean, from a Supercoach perspective, I know you guys are Supercoach buffs. I'll get sad if we talk about my Blues too much. To be honest.
They got 140.
North Melbourne's not much better at the moment, so yeah.
Well, I mean, North's going well. I mean, see, we're all hurting here. You've lost a coach. You've lost your best player, Setterfield. I've had a bad couple of weeks, and I've got to play the arch enemy. It's not good.
Nah, you're going to win. You're going to win this week, though. 100%. You're going to win this week. I can't wait to see it. Stuff you, Collingwood. You can shove it up your ass. I bloody hate Collingwood with an absolute passion. I don't care if Craig McRae is making them as likable as possible. I still hate them. Their wins, they're like knives stabbing me. I hate it. I don't like it.
It's going to be interesting, though, because I was commenting to some people off air, Pommy, about how good Mark Pitnet's been since he's come back and kind of given you guys a bit extra in that ruck line. Do you feel like that's kind of the case?
Well, I mean, like, all due respect, I'd never slag off a Carlton player, but I don't think TDK knows what he is. God bless him. And I know the AFL media like to really rave about Mr. TDK. I mean, when I hear Kane Corns talk about him, I don't know if he's accidentally watched footage of Matty Cruiser 6 years ago and thought it was TDK.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, Pitnet's the kind of ruckman that I like. You know, he's unforgiving. He just wins his taps. He does his job. Sometimes in the early couple of seasons early games this season, it was almost like our midfield had only just met Pitnet because he was doing all the hard work, and our midfield didn't want a bar of it. But he's very good at what he does, and long may it continue. And hopefully TDK finds some level, but we're lucky to have Pitnet. I mean, he doesn't do much around the ground, bless him.
No.
But tell you what, 1-on-1, he's quite tasty. We like Pitt. And last week he was sensational against Tim, where I was born. What say your surname? It's forbidden in Australia.
He really feels like your working man's ruckman, a bit like Nan Curvis. Like, they just come in, they do their job. You know, they're not maybe the flashiest players ever, but they're hard to beat in the contest. They're good at what they're good at, and just support the team as much as they can, right?
He reminds me of a less knobhead Shane Mumford, does Pitnet.
I mean, everybody is less knobhead than Shane Mumford. Like, if Mumford was dead set, like if Mumford was walking in the streets, he'd be arrested, man. What he does is not clumsiness. He dead set assaults people. Honestly, the guy was.
I'd imagine his ma likes him though.
Nah. He probably beat her up too. Probably freaking flog. I hate him. I don't like him at all. His mum doesn't love him either. I've gone that far.
I don't know where to go with that. If you're watching Mrs. Mumford, shout out. We love you.
The closer, but there are some big games. Look, unfortunately, the Tigers are going to kill us with all our injuries, so that's not going to be another freaking game. They've won the last 14 in a row against us. But we haven't beat them in, will be 15 games. Yeah, we are their bunny team. It's so sad.
Well, there was a stat, wasn't there, today, that you are actually officially worse. Big J's team is officially worse than Fitzroy.
Fitzroy.
Yeah. I mean,
good news.
Since Brad Scott's left, and even a little bit into the Brad Scott era.
No. Since Brad Scott's left?
I'm saying, 2019 or whatever when he left wasn't a great year. But yeah, I mean, the club's been in a lot of trouble. We basically went from being a mid-table team to then being a not mid-table team. No development into kids, really poor drafting and trading, which I think's hurt us quite a lot. Bringing in guys like the Polek deal. I mean, now we've done it with Aiden Core and a few other people, even the CCJ deal, paying up for him and the amount of time and things like that. Carlton knows all about good deals and overpaying players, but the club's been in real strife, and as opposed to a Carlton, as opposed to a West Coast and other players, right, other teams, North Melbourne fans are very fickle, and we've gone through a lot of shit, and your fans probably will turn up to games even when you're playing poorly, whereas North fans, we're just not used to it, right? Like, we've given up for 4 years of just getting demolished, and not even getting demolished, looking like we're not even trying to do our jobs on field. It's just demoralizing for the fans. Why am I going to Marvel Stadium? Oh, I don't care about Marvel, but why am I going to Marvel Stadium, spending 2 hours either way on the train, or 1 hour there, 1 hour back, to sit and feel shit in the stands when my players don't tackle, they don't run, they get paid, $300K a year, and they're not doing their job? Like, at some point it's given up, and under Clarko has been fantastic, but even now the players are just giving up on field. So it's like, sack the lot of them, start again. I reckon I could do a better job list management and drafting than what these guys are. Actually going for our needs instead of doing that. Maybe it's been a case of, we've tried to build from the midfield out. And a lot of teams, I think, when you're on the bottom of the ladder, will build from the defense out, right? They'll say, okay, we come out and we'll get our key pillars, or we'll build from the defense out and we'll go that. For some reason, we've decided to build from the midfield out, not draft a ruckman, not draft anything else. And then the picks haven't worked out. Guys like Lazaro, like half a dozen other people that we brought in previous trade periods, they just haven't worked. So we're almost back to the start again, because it's like, these guys are going to come. They're not good, So it's really, really tough. We've brought in as I've said multiple times to Joe in the past, we're bringing in these development players, and we're bringing no one into play right now. So the team's still shit, because we have to wait 8, 10, 12 weeks for a player to be match ready before we can play them. So you're just piling shit upon shit upon shit, and no one's cleaning up the mess that's here. I think Sheasel has been the first player in a very long time that we've drafted and played round 1. Like, that stat alone is a huge area of concern, because we're bringing in all these players. We 6 picks in the draft, none of them are ready. Why? Like, we're getting rid of best 22 players because they're no good, and nothing else is going to happen. Like, what's the point? Who's making these decisions? And then we're being coached by, I said before, Pommy, you missed it, right? But we're being coached by coaches that have a win-loss ratio of like 10 wins and 80 losses. And they're supposed to be coaching our players on how to play. Like, come on, man. For real. It's not. I mean, Matthew's asking, how safe is Wardlaw going to be? Wardlaw's going to be fantastic, because he's going to be one of the 10 people that play. Like, he's going to be fine. But you can't have a team full of coaches with a massively negative win-loss ratio, with players who have given up, with players who are struggling, with kids who are being drafted every year that aren't even ready. Like, something has to give, man.
Guys,
North's never going to leave. We're gonna do well, but mediocrity is not being accepted, mate. I'm not going to accept nothing. I'm sorry.
You remind
if we don't bring in ready-made established players this year in the draft and in the trade period, that's it.
You remind me a lot of Carlton pre-rebuild. That there's a lot of senior tosh on the list. You've got a few youngsters that look like they could be something, but they're kind of led by nothing players, outside of your Zeebles, and obviously, remarkable start to the year of Unanaki Davis. Like, there's kind of a lot of tosh there, isn't there? Kind of a lot of nothing players. So I feel for you, Jay, because I know that you're a massive Kanga, and, trust me, and Joel share my sentiments. We've both been shit. Like,
but not even that.
There's nothing
not even
worse.
that. It's an issue with not drafting positions that we need. So we've only had Larky since Ben Brown's left, right, in 2018. We have not drafted a key defender outside of Comben. Sorry, a key forward for 5 years outside of Comben. Like, we've put out all our hopes and dreams on one player. And now he's been injured and we've got no one to back him up. The same in the defense, right? We've had Ben Mackay and he's been the only one. And then when he goes down, we've got nobody. Like,
Griffin Logue for the longest time.
Griffin Logue's the Lord and Savior. Hey, you've got 5 positions on field in a football team. You don't only draft one position for 5 years in a row. Like, what? Who's making these decisions, right? Who's doing this? Nah, I don't think so. I don't know.
I think there's nothing worse as well, because it was funny. Me and my mate were talking today at lunch about if Clarko had come to Carlton. And I was like, there would have been nothing more Carlton than us taking him a couple of years ago, probably making the finals, going deep, the year just gone. We'd probably be 8-1, and then this scandal really hits and he leaves. I was like, it would be the most Carlton thing ever it's the hope that kills you with my team. It's the hope.
Yeah.
But what do you think is going to happen, Big J, from this one? Because obviously, like, Ratton, I know he's a club legend of Carlton, but I do question his coaching. I think it's very one-dimensional. He has one plan, and that's Hail Mary football, which I think is the antichrist of what you guys need, because I agree with you. Down the back, you've got to build from the back. And you can see Clarko with you. That's the first place he's gone, tried to get the back line rigid and try and make it really accountable, which has worked to an extent. Last couple of weeks, it hasn't. But Ratton's a huge shift from the rigid plan of Clarko. How do you think that's going to work out?
I don't know if game plan's going to change as much, because we've still got the same players and there's still a amount of injuries and things like that. I think we've just been hampered, right? We had a decent enough injury list, and then we've been hit with another 6 this week. So I think out of this week, it's going to be interesting to see if the likes of Aiden Core and other guys come back. But touching on Clarko in this year, I think this year was always assessment year, right? I've spoken to Joe before about Clarko came in. It was October when he came in, right? So the trade period's basically finished. There's been a little bit of talk, hey, no, we know he was going to come in, but that kind of thing. I think in any business, in any company that you go to, any sporting club, you have to take some time and assess and have a look at what's working and what doesn't work, because what you see externally might not be what you see internally, right? You might have this toxic person and they do their job, but they cause trouble every week, that kind of thing. So I think at the end of this year, there's going to be some heads that roll. In terms of gameplay, I don't know how much is really going to change just because of we're being hampered. It's not like we've got options, which is the problem. There's not these amazing VFL players that are waiting to come in that Clarko's just not playing. We just don't have the players. We've got guys that have been speculative picks that, oh, look, they're C graders that may be B graders that have shown potential. I love that potential word, Pommy. It almost comes down to the word that's like, another one. Potential's not even the word, right? What does my head in with North Melbourne is this guy would have been a first rounder if he didn't get injured. I love that comment. I love this guy was rated in the top, the first round at the start of the year. They're the players that we pick up as well because we think we're getting a steal. We don't have the development to bring the talent out of these players. We don't have the established list like a Carlton or a Collingwood or a West Coast or, even West Coast. So we just can't do it. So, yeah, it's interesting. I don't think much is going to change. Hopefully we pick up a couple of players in the mid-season draft and someone comes in to fill a hole. But I reckon if there's a gun midfielder there, we'll just be like, yeah, let's take the midfielder and not fill the key position issues that we've had for the past 2 years. So, yeah, it's interesting. And, yeah, as people are saying here, right, Aiden Bonner, worst trade. Aiden Core, worst trade. So we know we just got over...
stiff for Aiden Bonner? Jeez, that's a bit stiff. No.
We didn't pay much for him, but he hasn't shown a lot since we've been there. Maybe it's not him playing 22 every week, but the players are getting older, Joe. Contracts are coming up. Players are getting older. We've got guys on the list with sub-20 games, and they're 22, 23, 24. Okay, all right. Guys are getting older. The team's not getting any better. So something's got to give. Yeah. It's our inability to bring in ready-made players, I think, which is a huge issue. Because you can let kids be in the VFL and dominate and bring them in, but not when the senior team is crap. I'm sorry. You can't have it both ways. So, yeah.
What are your tips for this week, Pommy? You got Port v Melbourne, two teams who have gone indigenized with their team names this week. So
let's go through the tips. I'll do my tips based off what Pommy says. Let's go.
All right, let's have a look. Let's have a look. Melbourne Port. That's a game. That's one of them banana skins, isn't it? It's
100%.
Oval. Melbourne, too big, too strong, too good.
Yeah, I agree. The Melbourne's got to get that one. How much by, really? 60?
22.
Oh, okay. Not bad. Doggies, Adelaide. I reckon doggies.
Oh, you know what? I'm going to back the Crows in.
No Tex Walker this week, Pommy.
It doesn't matter. I reckon they'll step up. I reckon the Crows. I don't rate the Dogs. They were okay against us, but we were our own worst enemy. But I reckon saw enough bit of pressure. Dogs didn't quite like it. I reckon Adelaide can bring that pressure away from
maybe
them.
the small forwards down at Mars Stadium can do a lot for Adelaide this week.
If Always can snag when he wants, Rankine and Rochelle should have a field day.
Fair enough. Freo v Geelong. Freo hosting Geelong. Freo had a good game last week. They beat the Swans at home. Then again, the Swans haven't been doing too hot shot themselves, but it's hard to go past Geelong, I reckon.
Cats are back.
They are.
Cats are back, baby.
Oh, against Fremantle, Croc. I mean, anyone could. Almost North Melbourne could probably beat Freo the way we're going.
The Richmond was just a blip, but
I reckon
the Cats are back.
It was 100%. They were very inaccurate. They kicked themselves out early. Lions v Gold Coast. It's hard to tip against the Lions, right? At home.
Gold Coast, I just think are the biggest fugazi in the AFL. like for every article they write about how shit Carlton are, right? Do you know what I mean? They always forget about Gold Coast. Gold Coast are the biggest disappointment
100%.
ever. Do you know what I mean? Honestly, Gold Coast are historically the biggest disappointment since Harry married outside the royal family, right? that big. No one's disappointed a world as much as them, other than Prince Harry. Lions by a lot.
Yeah, it's got to be.
Yeah,
absolutely got to be.
Their trade history almost makes North Melbourne look good. I'll tell you what.
There's always hope. Richmond. If you ever feel bad about your team, just look at Gold Coast.
You could be Gold Coast.
Richmond exactly. Wins, right?
Yeah, Richmond by 40.
Yeah, you've got way too many injuries. They're starting to mount up. And trust me, if you're a Carlton fan, Matty Anderson will agree with me here. You're an expert on injuries. Tigers, I reckon Tigers are my late tip for a late surge. And they're doing it how I predicted in the preseason. I reckon they're going to come hard in the back end of the year. So Tigers by probably about 50. I reckon they're going to put on a show. Dustin Martin show's back in town. Get your tickets.
And they got Nankervis back as well.
I'm just glad we don't have to play him again, so they can do what they want from now on.
Bloody bastards. This is an interesting one. UTAS, Hawks v Eagles. Reckon the Hawks at home, yeah? They like to play at UTAS.
Hawks at home.
This is the sporting equivalent of talking to your mother-in-law as a game.
Who wants read more?
Do you know what I mean? Like, Jesus.
And North Melbourne as well. Crikey, we're not that far behind.
Mate, 10 minutes past 1, every man and his dog is going to be mowing their lawns. Or whatever jobs your wife has left you is doing it.
The Harvey Reid medal, the Harvey Reid Cup.
Well, I mean, this is what makes it complicated, isn't it? Because if Hawthorn have got a brain, they tank this one. Because Harley Reid is something special, but I think even if you tried to lose to the Eagles, you'd win.
Yeah.
I think they're that bad that you could go out and try and lose and win.
To be honest, the way I look at Hawthorn, right? I know they're not maybe not winning. Like for
Best of luck with your study, mate. You're a star.
Yeah, see, Vin. I don't think Sam Mitchell is someone who's going to tank, right? The team might be crap, but he's at least going to make the players play well. Like he's going to get cranky when they miss passes, when they miss shots on goal, like when they do the things that they need to do on field. I think he's going to get cranky at them versus, we're going to get the best pick in the draft, because overall development in the team is worth more than that. Even though you're expected to lose. So, yeah, maybe West Coast are tanking, but kind of battle of the team that doesn't have as many injuries but's crap versus the team that's got like 18 out this week. So
I have a sneaky suspicion, this is Pom's early tip, that if the Eagles get pick 1, which, I mean, short of a miracle.
They're going to take Reed, they'll take someone else?
No, I reckon they trade that pick.
Yeah,
I reckon they'll trade Harley Reid. I reckon, because their philosophy has always been draft WA. You look at the WA talent next year, there's some really solid players around that 10 to 30 mark, where that pick 1 could become 5 players plus a couple of senior players to prop up them younger bucks they drafted this year. I won't be surprised to see them start a bidding war for a few of them teams that have got it.
I've actually heard that Melbourne's pretty hot on Harley Reid as well, with having Frio's early pick and then their pick and a couple of others as well.
Anyone with a working face should be trying to get Harley Reid.
And maybe West Coast, as you say, maybe they need 2 or 3 really good players instead of just one. So yeah, could definitely happen. They did it last year, right? They turned pick 3 into pick 8 and 12 and got a couple of players. So yeah,
they're very clever. They're very clever, and there's some talent in that waffle. There's some talent. So
just good list management, mate. Why North Melbourne can't seem to do it? So
I didn't mean to bring up list management, Big J. I'm sorry.
Oh, mate, I'm hot today. I tell you what. Let's go down the rest of the last 2 games, and I'll head off.
List management or list mismanagement? Carlton v Collingwood. We know Carlton gonna win this. You got Carlton by 12. I've got Carlton by 7. I can't see Carlton being accurate enough to win by an even 2 goals. They have to kick 7 more behinds in order to beat Collingwood. So
I was accounting 12 behinds.
Okay, fair enough. That makes more sense then.
That's the common joke on the watch along. Just 30 more behinds and we'll be fine.
Yeah, done. Mate, after last week, you guys needed it. It was like 3 and 18 or some stupid number.
Yo, 287. Look, play the sport, not the odds. I get it, but mate, 287.
Who's winning Gold Coast? So who's winning GWS St Kilda? That's the big one this week.
Caminiti to kick 6 goals, mate. Fresh off signing a 3-year contract, Anthony Caminiti, baby, let's go.
Mickey Mouse Stadium, what a plastic stadium that is. Skilda, the Saints, Mateus Philippou to get 2 Brownlow votes in this game. He's going to turn it on.
Nice.
All right, fellas. I need to head off. Pommy, keep the ship going if you want. Catch you next time, Joe. We'll try and do some team reviews out tonight. Let me know if you want to re-record it, Joe, with your new inclusions, or I'll just upload what I'm doing.
Yeah, I might have to do that.
All right. Yeah, catch you guys. See you on Monday, everybody. Good luck with Supercoach. Have fun. Enjoy your weekends. Bye.
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 Yes. So yeah, it's look. I hear a lot of North Melbourne rants off the air. This was one of those rare times when we got to see it on the air, and I think the people appreciate it. I think it's good to have some passion.
He loves his club, and it hurts. 100%. It hurts. I'm sure I can see Vin in chat. I know he's a pie. Like, you know what? It hurts. Like, you become invested in your club, and it hurts. It really does. And there's only so much you can do, isn't there? So, I mean, it hurts. So I feel for him. I feel for him because it's not nice. Like, Matty Anderson, my mate in chat, we've seen some dark days at Carlton that we can kind of laugh at, but it's still too close that it still hurts your inner soul.
Yeah, there's a bit of PTSD, a little bit of PTSD. Not quite PTSD. It's almost like Stockholm syndrome a little bit, almost. But no, I completely agree. I completely understand. And I think one thing that people, that fans should be encouraged to do is, I understand that you're a supporter. I get it. But there's nothing like holding your club accountable. You're giving your hard-earned cash. You're giving your time. You're giving your emotional investment into this team. You should be able to boo. You should be able to be upset. You should be able to demand more from your club, and for them to take it on board. And I sort of like the response that Voss gave after, Carlton, the fans were very vocal at three-quarter time. He said, they've given us feedback. And that's exactly what it is. They're not booing for the sake of booing. They're not angry for the sake of being angry. They want you to be better. And ultimately, your fans, your supporter base, your members, are the heartbeat of your club. And you need to make them happy. You need to give them something to support for.
And I mean, it's a long conversation, booing. As a POM, I am pro fan engagement. In the UK, we sing songs about opposition players' mums and stuff. Do you know what I mean? So, a boo, I can't see how it hurts your feelings. I'm sure there is idiots out there that boo players because of the colour of their skin or something like that, and they're just idiots. But genuinely, for me, you hate opposition good players. You hate them. Like, do you know what I mean? This weekend on the watch along, I'll boo Jamie Elliott. I love Jamie Elliott, though. He's a quality footballer. I'll boo Nick Dacos, quality footballer, though. But hopefully my energy can put him off a little bit. But in reality, great players. And next week, when we're not playing Collingwood, I'll quite happily sit there with my beer and be like, Jesus, that Nick Dacos, he can play footy, can't he?
Exactly.
But I think it's pantomime. Like, for me, a POM's mentality on sport is it's like EastEnders, home and away. It's fun. Do you know what I mean? It's behind you, and oh no, he isn't. It's like watching an opera. So I think that's part of the theatrics. I think the AFL is in a horrible area, I think, at the moment, where they're taking away the most important thing about the AFL and remove the C monogram, remove the Essendon bomber, remove the Collingwood magpie. Basically, all of it is irrelevant. It's fans. The sport is built and made for communities. That's where the original clubs come from. You start removing them kind of things and policing it too much. People were kicked out of the Cow and Doggies game for sculling a beer at halftime. Do you know what I mean? Like, we're starting to remove the element of fun. And it's not meant to, like, do you know what I mean? Get rid of the racism, get rid of the idiots. But I fail to see how booing offends the players. Like, I know a lot of the players, none of them have ever said to me, oh, I was booed at the AO and I've been seeking counselling ever since. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Genuinely, it motivates them. It turns them on, gets them excited because that's the heat of the battle.
100%. And you wouldn't be booing, like, if you're up against West Coast, you're not booing anybody from West Coast, are you? Because you're going to win the game. Like, it's almost like you are trying to be a part of your team. You're trying to, as you say, trying to put them off with some negative energy, get into their heads, trying to have them lose. But you're not really booing West Coast. You're not really booing anyone from North Melbourne because you don't really feel the pressure from them. I almost see it as almost like as a sign of respect. Even like if you're being booed, they genuinely respect my talent. And they're trying to put me off my game here because they know I can be damaging if I'm at my best and if I'm performing as well as I can. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot more to it that I think that the AFL really shouldn't be over policing because it is ultimately a game by the people for the people.
Mate, amen. And I mean, as a round ball fanatic, spending most of my childhood in the home and away end, singing songs till I was hoarse. Genuinely, your negative songs about an opposition player are because they're good, because they can hurt you, or because maybe they're a wanker. People always forget this element, this key element of why fans don't like certain players. Maybe because they're a bit of a tit. Do you know what I mean? Like, unfortunately, that's the way of the world. And like, I always see negative feedback a little bit like the booing. the negative feedback, it usually comes from a love and a faith. I think modern day times, we're going real psychology here, but I think nowadays we're trained to catch people doing bad. And we've forgotten that the whole art of being a human is catching them doing good, is looking at the good that the people do. So the good that people do is the fans pick these players up when they're down. The fans cheer hard when there's nowhere to go. West Coast ended the game the other week with like 8,000 fans. 8,000 fans stood in the pouring rain in the cold conditions to clap their blokes off, to support. They're big moments. Do you know what I mean? You've got the kids
100%.
with disabilities that are involved with the club. The gentleman at Geelong who helps out with the club who's got a disability. You've look at the great work Carlton do with Carlton Respects, the great work St Kilda do with the LGBTI community. That is all fan volunteered. That's all fan volunteered. The cheer squads that I've had the pleasure of spending time with, Essendon's cheer squad, Collingwood's cheer squad, Carlton's cheer squad, St Kilda's, all creating a community for some people that don't have families, don't have friends. That's their friendship group. I think we forget that the AFL community on a whole, banter aside, is pretty fucking good. Do you know what I mean? I'm here with Joe,
100%.
one of my new mates. I love Joe. That's a love story built in the AFL fan community. So it's easy to pick on the 8 idiots who boo Buddy Franklin, and maybe 8 of them are racist. I don't know. But what about the millions of kids that have Buddy Franklin on their wall,
100%.
who are idolising him and inspiring them to do better? The young Indigenous kids who look up to him, knowing that this can be a way out to the big time. Like, come on. Like, it's easy to look at the negative all the time, but there's some fantastic stories out of the AFL fan community, and we shouldn't forget it. And don't let the media and tits like Kane Corns tell you you're a bad person.
Amen. Here. And I know I told you this in person. Honestly, if you're running for Prime Minister, I'd vote for you, Pommy. Thank you so much for coming on, mate. We cheer for Tom Sheet. I love it, bugger. But thank you so much for coming on, Pommy. Guys, if you haven't subbed, I've put the link for Pommy's channel in the comments. I'll put it in again. Please head on over. He pumps out some ridiculously incredible content. He is rapidly growing. We got to get him up there. The top. I know you might not be Carlton fans, not everybody here, but he does more than just Carlton, right? What else do you do, Pommy? Please.
Well, we cover extensively the draft every year. The trade period, we do individual profiles of every player that enters the draft. So we'll be doing that for the mid-year. If you're interested, we do select games of the week. We have a bit of banter. We play a lot of games as well. A lot of AFL Evo 23. That's kicking off tonight in about an hour. I am going up against Swoop Luke in a best of 3 on the PlayStation. We'll be streaming. Trying to get Carlton the 4 points early, because that's the real game. This is the real game. The other game's just the side thing. But no, come and say hi. We have a bit of a laugh and we do video requests. We're very analytical as well. We like to go into the dark side of footy. And we rant a bit about the AFL as well. We like to have a bit of a rant against the establishment while we're messing about.
And we're going to, so there's going to be alternative media. That's for sure. There's some alternative options building, guys. So please keep an eye.
Something very big's coming as well with young Joe. So stay tuned for that.
Yes. Something fun, something good, guys. So please keep an eye out. Thank you so much for watching our stream, guys. Make sure you give us a like and a sub. Obviously, it helps the channel out. And remember, here at the Centre Bounce, we do the hard work so that you don't have to. You are most welcome, Jonas. And it seems I'm stuck with this Medium Joe / Medium J nickname. It seems I'm stuck with it now, but it is what it is. See you guys.